That is pretty awesome.
That's funny.
Okay, now we're live. All right, everybody, hello, welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Legally Blonde, the search for Elle Woods, the first reunion of everybody all together. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We're so excited to have so many people here. I am Tim Murray. I started rewatching this show during quarantine and it brought me so much joy. And I'm gonna introduce Jen, my co-host.
Hi.
Jen.
Hi guys, I'm Jen Sandler. I'm a theater producer and I produced the reunion concert 2 years ago. Thank you guys for joining us.
Yay! So we just want to go around and everybody go ahead and introduce themselves. Let us know who's here. Let's start with the creative team. Let's start with Bernie. Bernie, you want to say hi?
Yeah, hi, Bernie Telsey, casting director and one of the judges. Hi, everybody.
Yay!
Woo!
Excellent. Amanda?
Hi, I'm Amanda Lippitz. I'm one of the producers of the musical and the executive producer of the series.
Awesome. Is Heather here?
Hi. Yeah, I'm Heather Hawk. I was the book writer for Legally Blonde and one of the judges on the show.
Paul.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Paul Kanan. I was a judge on the reality show. I was a cast member in the Broadway show, and I'm happy to see everybody. Snaps.
Paul, will you do, for the fans, will you do your signature line?
I'm so excited because this whole Zoom is a hit! Down the stairs.
Amazing, amazing. And Libby.
Hi, I'm Libby. I was kicked off pretty early. Ashley.
Ashley.
Hey, I'm Ashley Loren, and I was also on the first episode.
Amazing. Rachel.
Hey everybody, I'm Rachel Potter and I was on the first episode and I think the highlights of the second, that's it.
Yeah, highlights.
Amazing. And it's Cassio.
Hi, Cassio. I was the first one kicked off. They got a montage.
I think that's probably the first time they saw your background, so I just want everyone to give Cassio a big.
Welcome.
That's amazing.
So welcome. Should have been. Lindsay.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Ridgway. I was the second one kicked off, so.
Lindsay.
I love the stars behind you so much, Lindsay.
I'm in my kids' playroom, so.
Yes.
Cute.
And Cassie S. You here?
Hi, I'm Cassie. Yes, I'm Cassie Silva, but everybody probably knows me as Cassie S.
It's like such a beautiful reality TV device to be like, oh, we have two girls with the same first name. I'm a letter afterward. Yeah. Cassie O and Cassie S.
Emma.
Hi, my name is Emma Zacks, and I think, the 6th person to go. Yes, I believe I was.
Amazing. Who's next?
Selena Carvajal.
Anyone who wants to go? Selena.
Oh, hi. I'm Lena Hall. I also was named Selena. I changed my name because of the show, and I was kicked out really early.
And she's on a bike, guys. For anyone that's noting, she really is on a bike.
She's building up her stamina.
Natalie.
Me, my turn. Okay, hi. I'm Natalie Lander, and I was 5th. I won 2 challenges in a row and then got kicked off. So that's my
Lauren.
Hi, I'm Lauren Zachrin, and I thought I was the 6th person kicked off, but so is Emma, so I don't know which one I was anymore.
You were 4, I feel like.
Wait, isn't that,
You were the final 4.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep track because in one of the only reality shows in history, there were so many double eliminations. You ladies would go to the casting office and then suddenly they'd be like, and by the way, several of you are going home. It's like
really bad
that
day for
never
us.
happens in reality TV. Usually they're like, oh, and we only have so many episodes left.
Well, now that's happening on The Masked Singer, so I think they learned from the show.
Oh.
You guys did it first.
You did it
Amanda
first.
paved the way.
All right, Rhiannon.
Hey, I'm Rhiannon, and I was number 3.
Amazing. And Autumn.
Hello, I'm Autumn. My husband likes to say I'm runner-up in reality TV, but winner in life.
Yeah.
Hey.
Love that.
Bailey.
I love it. And Bailey.
Hey, I'm Bailey, and I won.
Yay!
Um,
So before we go into like the show, how are you guys doing during this quarantine?
Awful.
It is what it is. Here we are.
Yeah.
I know. At least we're not alone in this.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a 3-year-old, so I don't know what day it is, and I don't want to be climbed on anymore.
Same here. It's no different. It's no different with a 4-year-old. Same here.
Yeah, I think
You know,
children.
it's no different with a husband.
Yeah. We're all going a little bit crazy, I think, but
Yes.
I
in there.
also love like all of my friends that are reading books and like doing all these things. I'm like, tell me everything you're doing right now because I'm just entertaining 2 children.
Yeah, that must be nice.
Rhiannon, after this, I'll tell you all about Jessica Simpson's book. It is amazing.
Thank you. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
You guys, thank you so much for doing this. This show was so crazy and so fun. I always say to people, it like really melded the worlds of like crazy reality TV and high stakes musical theater because the stakes were so high for all of you and you're all so talented. And it was just such a blast to rewatch the whole thing. And so many people out here, we're going to get to the questions from fans in a little bit.
A lot of questions.
A lot of questions coming in.
Yeah.
But first, I just want you to talk a little bit about getting to that first day, that first episode. Because as fans of the show, we watch it and it's just, there's 50 girls all of a sudden. But like, I mean, all of us know from being at musical theater auditions, did you have to like wait around outside in a line for hours? Emma, you're nodding. Emma, you tell us, you go first.
I waited in the snow. It was snowing out, and Lindsay and I were next to each other. And sorry, I don't know how to turn off my notifications on my computer, so apologize for every time I get a text.
Oh, you're fine.
I'm old and I don't know how to do this shit. So I waited. I was like, it's a miracle I got onto the Zoom. So I waited out in the snow. We kept each other sane, and it was the longest day. We were waiting around. Hundreds of us, once we finally got inside, hundreds of us were waiting around on the floor, sitting, trying to like keep our hair looking, decent and touching up our makeup. And then they had us, sing, and they had us do, I think, maybe a scene. And then the dancing came, and the dancing is always my nightmare. And it's like, I still have nightmares about dance calls. And so I got through that. And then I remember seeing Jerry Mitchell in the hall, and I was like, hi, I know you, like, hi. And he was very, very focused. It didn't help me. But I finally got through the process, and then they wanted to do, I remember the next step was a psych eval. That was really interesting. Guys, remember we had to do the psych eval?
Oh, yeah. How did any of us have that?
I know, right? I think they were looking for crazy people.
Honestly, no, they were looking for crazy people.
Yeah, I think they were like,
yes.
All of these girls have a little loose, so let's do it.
Some of you had open calls you went to, some of you went in through your agent, some were in the city, some weren't in the city. Who went to an open call, who went in a different way.
Libby and I actually kind of went together in Chicago. Yeah, we were in college together, and we drove from Ohio to Chicago and found out there that we were both, and Lauren, you were there too, right? And we found out we were both going to be doing it, and we were so excited. And then the day that it came time to like arrive in New York City, all of our luggage was lost. So we looked we looked pretty bad and we were stressed out about it and just tried to smile through it all. And I remember, Emma, you like chopped up a little Cliff Bar or something for all of us because everyone was hungry, and you were like, here guys, I have food. We all split a Cliff Bar. So sweet.
Oh my gosh. How about for you, Rachel? How did you hear about this? I want to know, like, because I know Rachel, Lena, Autumn, some of you had already been living in New York. Was this like were people like talking about it at auditions, being like, this reality show is happening?
No, nobody knew anything about it. I mean, I don't know how it was for Lena and Rachel, but I had auditioned for the Broadway show for Margot. And then my agents said, can you come into the office? We want to talk to you about this project and see if you're interested. And they said that it was this reality show. So I didn't do the open call or anything. Although I think then I did, I can't quite remember, but I know that I had already known what it was and then went to one of the open calls, but I didn't like wait, you know, they kind of slipped me in.
That was similar,
we had some appointment calls.
Yes, an appointment.
They called us ringers, and that's what I was called, at least. And I had gone in. I was working at Disney World in Orlando at the time. I didn't live in New York yet, and I had flown up for like a random EPA and went in for Leap of Faith, just whatever I could go in for. I didn't know anything. I was so green. And I met Pat Goodwin, and he said, I think you might be right for this new project called Next to Normal. And it was going to DC. And that's when I first met you, Bernie, I was in callbacks to cover Natalie in Next to Normal. And then after that, I got a call and they said, you know, Bernie saw you in this, and though you didn't get that part, he'd like you to go be a ringer for the Legally Blonde show. So I went in Orlando, and funny enough, the only other person chosen from Orlando was my roommate, Mara.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I remember her.
I remember her.
Yeah.
And so you went, I mean, Natalie, you did it in LA, right? Isn't that
Yeah,
right?
actually, me, Rhiannon, and Cassie S. We were all there in LA together.
Yeah.
Did you do the open call, Natalie?
We did the open call. I remember that I feel like we were all there at the same time. We all got there at like 6 a.m. and like no one was really there except for me, Cassie, and Rhiannon. And then I was like, we did it. It was just because we were idiots who showed up at 6 in the morning.
Early bird gets the worm.
It worked.
Yeah.
It totally worked.
It worked, right? But yeah, the three of us all met there. And I mean, and I'm pretty sure our audition in LA was in the end of January, and we didn't know we were actually doing this show in New York. We didn't know we got cast until March. So it was a long process and a long wait between.
And there were it was 2 days. Wasn't it? The first day they did a group of people, and then the second day then they brought back more people, right? I think
was it just singing and dancing, or was there any part of it that was like, hey, let's find out about your personality as well?
There was interviews.
Interviews.
Oh, interviews. So many interviews.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the interview, they basically asked me how crazy I was and how I handled it. And you better bet I knew what they were looking for. And so I was like, yeah, I tend to be the person who's like overly sweet, but watch out because I'm crazy. That's her. We need her on the show.
Oh man, I did so many auditions for this thing. I think I went in, I was like Autumn, I went in early many, many times for Legally Blonde for all these different roles. It was like, they were like, well, she's not right for this role and not right for this role and not right for this role. So maybe this role. But eventually they called me and they were like, hey, Jerry Mitchell asked for you. And I was like, oh, then it's going to be a shoo-in. I'm going to win.
I thought too. That was my thought.
Yeah, totally my naivete. But I went in and I did a million interviews, and the interviews are online, by the way. I don't know if you guys have found them, but I found them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I found mine.
Oh,
thoroughly embarrassing. Thoroughly embarrassing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I think they were on the website when the website was up.
Were those the interviews that we did in that like random hotel?
No, it's the ones from the actual
Original casting.
Oh, like the
Oh,
ones
right,
like
when they
ours
had
is like
when
a
they were
white
promoting the
background.
show.
Like the
Oh,
like
no.
the MTV production casting.
Somebody
Right.
dig those up. I want to see those.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. Now I'm very excited to watch that.
Oh
So
God.
fans online are asking to go to gallery view, so I just want to warn everybody that everyone's going to be seen now. So we're
right.
switching to gallery view.
Uh-oh.
There we
I'm
go.
ready. Welcome.
We're all in. We're all in.
Cheers.
And for those of you just tuning in, yes, Lena Hall is on a spinning
bike.
But
for those of you,
Well, the first day of production, let's move a little. So to the top 15, I know you guys had to sing and dance. Talk about that.
The first
well,
day?
Bailey, wasn't that your first
we
time
did
in
that.
New York?
I was about to say, oh my God, that's
I'm
a
gonna
loaded
pretend
question.
I'm on a bike. With
Yeah,
Lena.
I'd never even flown before. I'd never been really anywhere outside of, driving distance of South Carolina, really. So that was a huge deal for me, like just flying and going to New York for the first time and being kind of like overwhelmed by that in itself. And then I didn't really know what to expect because I had auditioned in Nashville, which was the closest city to me. And I was there for 3 days in Nashville and I only packed one outfit because I didn't think I would make it past the first audition. So every day I had to go to the mall and buy a new outfit because it was like the original audition. And then they're like, come back and we want you to sing this and this. And I had to come back and sing. And then they said, okay, now we want you to come back and dance. And I'm like, okay. And so I danced and they're like, okay, and tomorrow we want you to come back. And that's when we did those interviews that they were just talking about. So I guess that was 4 days then. So I was not prepared, to say the least. I had got a whole new wardrobe in just that one weekend. And I went home and probably didn't get a call from the reality show producers for like another week or so. And then I remember the day I flew out to New York, it was February the 22nd. And I think we started production on the first episode on the 23rd. And all of us girls were stuck in that hotel, the Flat Hotel or something. Was that right?
Oh, yes.
Yes. I remember they taped the door shut.
Yeah,
that was my first time ever ordering room service in my life.
Me too. I was like, how do I need to pay for this? And they're like, no.
Also, do you remember like the big boardroom? We were all in our rooms and then they brought us all in and it was like, I know you and I know you and who are you?
You guys also remember that, as the top 20, and Amanda, correct me if I'm wrong, like it was like a whole other, we were like a separate kind of pod of girls.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we all met like before we even started production for episode 1, so that big audition day. And then we all show up on that audition day, and
there's hundreds of girls.
1,000 girls.
Like, what in the world is going on?
So you knew when you started that top 15 that you were already in.
Yes and no.
Yes,
because
no.
I remember showing up that next day when there was 100 people, and in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, none of us were good enough. They just brought in 100 more.
I was just thinking like they've separated 20, like group of 20 girls in different hotels so that we're not all together at one time. That's just what in my mind I was thinking, like I still thought we were having to compete against all these girls.
I knew. I was the opposite of you, Bailey. I was like, oh, none of them stand a chance. We're already in.
No, I knew because I was like, wait a minute. They did a blood test and a psych evaluation. They did not do it for these 100 girls.
Yeah.
And I remember going into the audience and I just knew there were a couple of friends that were there that were on the sensitive side. And I just remember walking up to them and being like, hey, just so you know, this is an amazing opportunity, but this is not maybe what you think it is. So just so you know, we had psych evaluations and blood tests, and I don't know what you think, but if you don't want to be like today, then go now. I did.
You are brutal.
But I knew their heart. Like I knew that would be they were in it to win it, and they were there thinking.
Autumn looks
putting
out
their
for
hearts
people.
out there.
Here's the thing about Autumn. Autumn is the mommy. Like she takes care of her people. She makes sure.
Autumn, the most. Sorry, go ahead, Amanda.
We had 20 that we knew were the ones that we were looking at, but legitimately that day, Jerry, Bernie, myself, the other producers of the musical, Heather, Paul, we sat there and decided on the top 10 that day.
That's
So-
crazy. Wow.
It was
For an
not,
entire television series. That's
that
wild.
part was not
Right, pre-done.
that part was not
No,
pre-done because Bernie and Jerry said, no way, we have to see these people live in person. Bernie and Jerry were not in all the cities when we first screened everybody, and they needed to see them live. So we put together tapes for them. They saw, I mean, Bernie, I remember going to your office and we looked at
We watched all the tapes.
we watched all the tapes, and then we chose the top 20 from that. And then we knew we had to get it down to 10 when we were live in person. So there was a
incredible.
real moment, like when they showed the moment of us looking at headshots, we really are deciding the top 10.
That's what was so crazy about this show is it's not like American Idol where they're picking like one singer for the year, or like America's Next Drag Superstar where it's like whoever wins, like, you know, you do whatever you win with your winning. It was like you had to pick people to be on a reality TV show and then do at least a Broadway run of a show. That's
I mean, that
so
was
crazy.
the hardest part of the negotiations between the musical and MTV, and being the go-between of that, because we wanted to uphold these high standards we had. We, you know, Bernie Telsey was a judge. He wasn't going to cast someone that wasn't going to be up to his standards. And Jerry Mitchell wasn't going to agree to it unless he knew that he had the final say. So it was working together with the musical and a reality show of it. I am actually very happy that I didn't know about all, like I knew you guys were getting psych tests and I knew there was like some other reality type stuff going on, but I was kind of like, I don't want to know about that.
We never knew what was happening in the house. We never knew.
Oh my God.
I know what was happening in the house, but I didn't know like they taped Joy's and stuff like that. Like I was just kind of like, all right, you know, you guys figure it out.
For the
Which
ladies,
is so funny because they made us think that like you guys knew, and that would be part of the
the whole story. Felt like we were always being judged, like when we weren't, you know.
Have you guys ever heard the deep dark
Probably just by
internet
the
rumor?
audience.
Have you guys ever heard the deep dark internet rumor that there was a whole nother house that never got to air?
No.
Can you guys
Never
speak
heard
to that? Was that true or no?
No.
So much extra work.
No money.
That's out there. People think that's true.
Rachel, I have 10 wigs in my house right now. I'm gonna make this other house full of characters, and that'll be on YouTube tomorrow. Sorry, Bernie, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, well, Tim and Jen, isn't that the thing you asked us to do tomorrow, that reunion?
The other one?
And live at 8 p.m. tomorrow for the other Search for Elle Woods.
I just thought I'd give you an opportunity to dispel this rumor because
So that is
this was the best.
That's true. But I will say what was so exciting was when we went to Nashville and LA, and Lauren, I think you were in Chicago, right? You were like a freshman in college and road tripped it with a bunch of friends.
Yep.
And I remember calling Bernie and being like, oh my God, you should see
I know.
these incredible young women that are coming from places they would never get to be seen on this level by you. And you're going to just love them. You're going to fall in love with them. And I'm so glad you all took the road trip, spent the money.
Oh yeah,
at
we
the
started
mall,
casting
did it.
everybody who in other shows. No, it was great. It
Oh
was
my
great.
gosh, I remember getting kicked. The Playbill article happened 2 years ago. You told a story about it was between Lena and Rachel for the top 10, and you had talked to people about it.
I don't gotta tell that story.
I never knew that. I never knew until that Playbill article came out, Paul. But I was kind of upset because I never got to go in for Vivian after that.
I know.
Damn.
Well, basically, this is the gist of it. Coming into it, I was very lucky to be a part of the show, and like I said in the show, like Amanda Lippitz pushed me through because Jerry had contractual things with Bravo. Look at Bernie's dog.
I know. Look at that. Happy time.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I don't see it.
Oh, he's so cute.
Brand new puppy.
Oh my God.
Here, I can't see.
Bruiser in the revival, please.
Yes, please.
So I was just lucky to be a part of it. I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, I don't really watch reality TV. What's happening? And there was a time where Amanda was like, "You're the Simon Cowell. You have to be mean." I'm like, I don't think I'm really going to be. I'm just going to kind of be myself and like see what happens. When we got to the final 10, the MTV producers and the Broadway producers like actually listened to me and Bernie and Heather. They were like, "What do you guys think? What's the truth? Blah blah blah." And I didn't know Rachel. I didn't know anybody. I knew Selena Carvajal. I was on tour with her and Annie Get Your Gun, which we randomly just had a reunion for. 20-year reunion. We all getting old.
Cute.
I said, listen, let me stop. I know this girl. She'll make good TV. She's very talented. I think she'll be good for what we're like going for, to tell the story with reality and back with the girls and stuff. She's been on Broadway. She's been around. Maybe she'll be better in the top 10. And then we switched out Rachel and Lena Hall, Selena Carvajal.
Wow, that's the first I've heard of this.
Wow, yeah.
I didn't know that juiciness.
Juicy.
For Heather, Bernie, and Paul, there's so many moments in the show where it seems like you're making these girls wait for your decision for 45 minutes to 3 hours.
What?
Did they tell you to do that, or was that
4 hours.
editing? Sometimes Bernie, and literally you'd be like, Autumn, you're fantastic. Rhiannon, you're so great. Natalie, love you. Autumn, back to you. And it'd be like, it felt like it was going on. I'd be like, tell them. Someone tell them what's going to happen.
I don't think I ever talked so slow in my life.
Everyone having to like restart. It was like, so let me. Okay, so I want to. And always hearing that going through the earpiece. We're standing there like,
No. I mean, that was the only part that would be like reality TV, because the slower we would be, the more emotion or more stuff was going on with all of you. And that's what, the control room was. They would just always say, take your time, take your time.
But Bernie was the only one that had an earpiece in. Heather and I did not have earpieces in. Right. We would kind of wait for his call and he'd be like, Heather, they want you to say something maybe not so nice about somebody. We're like, look, girl.
Yeah, that was definitely the hardest part. I mean, I just didn't want to say, that's not how it works. Right.
Yeah.
You don't want to rag on people. It's just moving on. And they would constantly kind of draw out your drama and the meanness. And I was like, no, guys, this is very uncomfortable.
My favorite, though, is when I called Selena Carvajal, I said, we are not looking for the next Pussycat Dolls, Missy.
It was a good choice.
When the batteries would die, so we'd be filming something like really important. They'd be about to tell us, and all of a sudden they'd be like, hold on, battery's dead on camera 6. We need to pause. Girls, you're pausing. You're like, what do you mean you're pausing? Like,
When our battery packs would go out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember we used to call it pooping batteries too? Because every time we would like get out of that stupid van, you'd get out and your mic would drop and like pull, and you're like, I just pooped the battery. I just pooped the mic. Sorry.
Shadow mic.
For those of you girls who had like literally never been to New York City before, like I will never forget my first audition in New York City being so scary and crazy. Did you think that this was like how it goes? Like at the end, I could not believe, of all the reality TV shows I've seen, I could not believe the first 6 of you in the top 10, they were like, all right, you're moving on. And then the next person, they're like, all right, step forward. You're cut. You have to exit through the front of the house past the merch table. I was like, what is this? How are you doing this to these poor girls? Did you think after that, were you like, okay, I guess this is what New York is?
I honestly did think that that's how auditions happened in New York, only because the things that I had seen had been like the things that I had seen that were like live productions. So they do the auditions on a stage. And so I was like, oh, I guess when you're auditioning in New York, you go on a stage and everyone has to watch you audition. Oh, I'm glad that's wrong.
Autumn, were you guys like telling them like, no, that's not how it is?
What?
Were you telling them like that's not how it is?
I mean, yes, sort of, but it was all so bizarre. I think we were all kind of caught up in it. And I just remember being in shock the first couple of days because a lot of what was filmed was at Telsey. It was at the casting offices. And so we would be like sitting in that little hallway by the bathrooms.
Oh yes.
To get in the room to shoot. And you'd see, I'll never forget, I saw someone I knew and we like both kind of like stood up to be like, hey, no.
I remember that.
Oh man.
I think we were all
favorite memories from that though was eating. Does anyone else remember eating McDonald's chicken nuggets in that boardroom in the back? Does anyone else remember that?
No.
No.
Come on. That was a real memory.
The shit that they would feed us was just so bad. I mean, we can talk later about the autumn incident with what they fed us, but
the yogurt.
It was just yeah.
Oh my god, the yogurt.
We'll talk later
remember
about
that being quite the topic. Like that was always something that I feel like we got upset about. Like it wasn't about the audition necessarily. It was about like, is this really what we're eating? Like, is this all
food poisoning?
Oh,
also always hungry.
Always.
The biggest comment that I got from me live streaming the show, the biggest comment almost was like half the people would just write, "These girls are heroes." the things, like that's the behind the stuff that we don't even know, but like dancing in high heels on cobblestone.
In February. Can we talk about the
Yeah, let's talk about how cold it was.
In
Not that
February. It was freezing. It was so cold. I had like a little asthma attack and I was like, I'm cold and I can't breathe. And then a cameraman.
Emma had the asthma attack.
Yeah.
I had bronchitis.
Can't even hear
Oh, you had bronchitis. You had bronchitis.
Emma, so many people messaging being like, Emma's bronchitis story is one of the greatest reality stories of all time. Conquering of bronchitis.
Yeah. Brought you pizza.
Well, it's because I had quit smoking, and like 2 weeks before we were gonna film, I was like, I should probably stop smoking, so I'm not like, I mean, probably. I mean, you guys was like 12 years ago, right? So like, I was like, let's put away the pack a day, and then of course, if you've ever smoked before, you'll know that when you quit, you get bronchitis because your lungs are trying to get rid of all that shit or stuff. Sorry, and so
it's YouTube.
Can I? Okay, right.
Oh, you're fine.
And and so I remember, it affecting the way I sang, and my father has never let me live down the fact that I brought up the bronchitis in one of the auditions. He's like, you never make excuses. I was like, okay, it was reality TV and I'm okay. I'm still okay. Like I have not been able to live down that freaking bronchitis. I'm like,
You're a champ, though.
Watching you
slow you down.
For me as a viewer, there was like, oh, she has bronchitis. I was like, oh crap, she's so screwed. Like we all know what that's like. And then you went in there and killed it, and I was like, okay, now I'm Team Emma. This is me now. I want her to win. For me, it's Emma all the way. Really though, it was like I was like jumping up and down the screen. I know it was 2008, but I was like, oh my god, look at she's like, you sounded so great.
I don't know. Thank you. That's kind.
That's a question.
What'd you say?
Who has rewatched the show since?
I have a couple of times.
My boyfriend had never seen it before we did the reunion, and we watched it like 2 days before and highlights and stuff. He was like, "This is intense, like life or death. You're Elle Woods or we kill you." It was like crazy. I had forgotten how high the stakes were.
Yeah.
It does feel
I
like
watched it with my daughters, and they're 6 and 10, and they loved every second of it. And I forgot so many things. I mean, rewatching, I haven't watched it in a decade. So I just cannot believe what you all went through tonight. You are heroes. I agree.
Honestly, I don't think I've actually watched the whole entire show, like, again. I think maybe like when my daughter's old enough to like understand and enjoy it, like I'll watch it with her. But if I try to watch it, like my PTSD comes back and I'm like, no, I'll just wait. It's not been long enough.
It will never be long enough.
No, it won't.
That's a real thing. That PTSD is a real thing.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Well, my husband and I, we moved last year, and while I was moving, I found I had burned all the episodes to DVD.
Shut up. I have them all on DVD too.
I thought you were gonna say you burned them. Like you set fire to that shit. I burned it all.
Burn everything. Fire. No, and then I also found the journal I kept while I was on the show.
Oh my god.
Wait, didn't we all have to keep a journal? Wasn't there a moment they were like, everyone write in your journal? And we were like,
they gave
what?
everyone one.
Didn't they give us a pink journal?
Yeah.
They asked us to do the confessional room. Remember, we all had to go and like spend
Oh,
time in
yeah.
the confessional room and talk shit about each other. But we never ended up talking that much shit about each other because we all liked each other so much.
But they found a way to splice it together.
Yeah, they sure did.
I think they actually edited like an entire argument between me and Emma that never happened. I remember watching it. I was like, we weren't even talking to each other.
Yeah.
Oh my
Editing's
God.
beautiful. Editing is amazing.
Yeah.
I remember in like the interviews, I remember like the line producers would like try and get you to say shit. And I remember thinking to myself, I would actually be like, I'm not going to answer that. Like next question, like let's go. Next question, go on. Like I'm not because like I was like, I'm not going to be that bitch who's caught talking shit. So I wasn't.
There were
But
a
I think
couple of
that's
times
why
I
the
remember
fans
saying,
ultimately
I'm not going to say
liked it.
Yeah, because
Yeah, exactly.
Supported each other.
Autumn, one of the it's like one of the most iconic moments in any reality TV show is when they try to make you fill out those forms and you were like, no, we're gonna make this positive and we're gonna turn this on its head. It was like, I was like, give this girl a writing credit now too. It was so good. And
they really tried.
They did. They tried to.
They were grasping at straws. Yeah.
They really tried.
There's
this.
Sorry. I think maybe that.
She's still biking. She's still on the bike. I can't.
Biking.
Lena Hall still biking.
Making the most of quarantine.
Amazing.
I was super proud of you guys when you did that because I was not okay with it, but I got overrun by all the MTV producers. And when you guys did that, I was in the control room and I was like, yes, I was so happy. And my girls just watched that part and they were like, that was so mean. I'm so glad they did that. So that was a great moment for us.
Yeah, I said Autumn was always looking out for us and taking care of us. She really did.
Which I so appreciate. I think if you watch that episode, I'm like sitting on the couch and then like 2 seconds later it just cuts to me and I'm like hysterically crying and I can't speak. And there's not really like a lot of context given, but it was because of those questions.
Yeah.
There was a question in there that was like, who isn't in shape enough to be Elle Woods? And I was like, I'm the answer to that question at 18 years old. That was what I told myself. And I just like thought, I'm going to be mortified on television with like everyone voting that I'm not in shape enough to be the character. And that's going to be the most mortifying moment of my life. And thank God Autumn was like, we don't have to do this. Like we do not have to do this. And that was like a saving grace for me.
It was the antithesis of Elle Woods and the whole message of the show. It was anti-feminist. It was like, you know, I don't know if they just didn't think they had enough drama because we were all
we all got along
of each other and respectful. And they were like, oh, now we know how to pin them against each other. And you know, I don't know.
I don't think that question would be on a show today. Just like,
no.
You know what I mean? It would not be on a show today.
None of those questions.
And it feels like people do a lot of crazy things to reality TV contestants, but like the theater community especially doesn't behave that way. So it was really like, it was very empowering to watch you guys be like, no, we're not doing that. Yeah, that was so great.
I mean, I remember when that producer, I won't mention his name, but the main producer guy on the MTV side, when he came into we weren't answering the questions and he came into our little apartment and he was like, guys, you have to do it. And we were like, no.
Yeah. Didn't he have like black curly hair?
Yes. He was really upset with us. And I was
really mad. Yeah.
I'm like, well, we're not going to do it. So that's it.
I do remember the producers getting really mad at us for certain things like that we were like, we're not going to do that. And then like they get so mad and leave. And I'll be like, whatever, let's hang out.
I mean, in their defense, we made their job very hard. We were like, we don't drink because we have to sing and dance. We are not causing drama because we actually
like
respect and love each other. And you know, so all they wanted was drama, which I was like, well, you had plenty of drama. It was a ton of girls and sleeping in one room. We were crying all the time.
I know.
Well,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
stakes
yeah.
are so high the entire show. Go ahead, Paul.
No, I remember when Lena and Cassie were kicked off in like a double whammy situation. They were like, okay, bye. And the producer came in, he's like, maybe not the best news you ever got. We're gonna refilm that and make it look a little sadder. And they were like, oh. They walked out.
No, I mean, if you watch when I walk out, I like flip my hair because I was just like, fuck this. Like, this was so made up. I thought I had.
You couldn't wait to get out.
I had the illusion. I had this crazy illusion that we were actually going to get like real criticism and like it was going to be a real time where I could actually hear people's thoughts on like what I'm doing wrong or anything constructive. But the stuff that they would say, I was just like, really? And also my favorite thing was when they announced that we were going to have someone as a mentor. And I had been in 4 Broadway shows before, so I was pretty well into the business. And I was also one of the oldest girls there, but then they were like, you get a mentor. I was like, ooh, is it going to be Bernadette Peters or Patti LuPone or? I don't know. I was so naive to think that MTV would put money into Patti LuPone, right?
She was above the budget.
Who was it?
Yeah, who was it?
Haley Duff.
Haley Duff, who had
Right.
done one Broadway show. Yeah. So.
Sure, it wasn't about the money. I don't think Patti LuPone would have ever gone on an MTV reality.
No.
She's basically doing cribs. She's showing people her basement on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's great.
I love Patti. Yeah.
Amazing. So one last question for Ashley and Libby and Rachel, and then we'll let you guys all go and start talking about the stuff in the house. When they said that you weren't going to be in the top 10, was there any part of you that was like a little bit like, were you a little bit like, okay, I won't have to do this reality show for the next several weeks? Rachel, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes. I was like happy, sad, because honestly it worked out wonderfully in my favor because Amanda, you and the producers were so kind in your editing of me, and I got like this lovely little send off, and I seemed very positive and good to work with or whatever. And literally the day after the show aired, an agent from New York called and offered me representation. And it was like a Cinderella story for me, that I was able to move to New York after graduating from college in Orlando with an agent and my equity card. It was like incredible, all thanks to the show, so and then I watched the show and everybody living in one room and I was like, oh hell no. So, but I did get to go to Bailey and Autumn's opening night. I went back in New York for that, and that was really amazing. So that was the moment where I was like, oh man, I kind of wish I had had a chance at this, but my chance came later. So anyway, with that, I'll say thank you so much to all of you, to Bernie, to Amanda, to Paul, to Heather and Tim for putting this on, and Jen, because it was a great experience and it's good to see everybody again. It's truly a sisterhood though. We still are all friends and it's neat.
Yay! And Rachel, I mean, it was when I first saw you on the show, I was like, oh my god, that's Rachel Potter. I mean, your voice is iconic, and like you've been my shower song so many times over the years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's
so
so nice of you.
Thank you so much for joining us. This was so fun. And before we'll have all you go at the same time, so I don't want you to miss. Libby, how about you? Is Libby still here?
No, I think she froze and then she's trying to get back on.
Oh no! Oh wait, okay. Let me see if I can add her back in. So.
Oh yeah,
we'll have Ashley go.
For now, though. Yeah, I can go. I have never been more of a Italian Jersey girl naive than I was on this specific episode of this specific TV show. So I mean, I had no idea. It was my first New York audition process of any kind. So of course I was heartbroken. I was hoping that I would be able to move forward, but I mean, I also was kind of like, whoa, this is crazy that I'm even going this far on something that I had no idea anything about. Yeah, so I mean, I was upset, but also proceeded to watch the show and was like, oh my God, Thank God. Thank God I wasn't on it. Thank God. Oh my gosh. Yeah, but I mean, it's such a fun thing to look back on and a great memory to have. I mean, I'm in Moulin Rouge now, and I just think back about like who I was when I did the Legally Blonde search for the next Elle Woods, and like where I am now, and how cool it is that all of us are doing what we're doing now. It's really special. So it all happens for a reason.
Awesome.
Yeah, it certainly worked out so well for you, Ashley. I'm so proud of everything you've been doing.
Thanks. You too, girl.
Yes. Amazing. Thank you so much, Ashley. Libby, how about you?
I froze, so I missed everything you guys were talking
So
about.
we were just saying, what was your experience when you were for your episode on the show? How did you feel about it? And was there any part of you that was like a little relieved that you didn't have to do the rest of this reality series?
Oh no, I was so sad. Only because I love Legally Blonde, the story. I love Elle Woods. I love everything she stands for. So I really wanted to stay on longer. But on the other hand, I remember being in the rejection room and they were kind of prodding at me like, you must be devastated that like, your life is over, your dream role is gone, and what's happening?
And you went on to play Elle though eventually.
I'm sorry, I heard something else. But yeah, I remember feeling like, you know what? It's not the ending. This is just the beginning. I wanted to go back to college and like graduate. And Bernie, you were so nice to me when I was in my rejection room. You like peeked in and you were like, it's gonna be okay, and I'll see you for Wicked. And I was like, okay. And it worked out. So thank you.
You went on to play Elle later, right?
I did, regionally, yeah, and it was so fun, and it was like, I don't know, a dream come true to get to play a role that I believe in so much. So, but I did watch the show because Cassie and I went to college together, and she's one of my best friends for life. So I was everybody, and yeah, I thought it was so cool, and I'm grateful to be a part of it, even though I was just on one episode.
Yay, thank you so much. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining us. This is really making me so happy, and I know people in the comments are so happy. So thank you. So we'll say goodbye to Ashley, Libby, and Rachel now. Thank you guys so much.
Bye, everybody. Thanks again.
And before we move in,
telling me when you sing the goodbye song.
before we move on to the girls living in the house and the challenges, is there anything else, Jen, that we want to ask the judges or the creative team, or is there anything you guys want to add to this experience?
How did you guys like become the show as judges? I know, Paul, you kind of got roped in by Amanda.
Roped in by Amanda.
And by Amanda.
Did they? So Paul, you said they were going to make you like sorry, what was the Simon Cowell of it all? Did they give you guys like specific types of reality judges that they wanted you to be like? Or were they just like, go for it?
No, I mean,
go ahead, Bernie.
No, I was going to say, I mean, that's where Amanda was amazing. You know what I mean? Because she really was the buffer for the three of us with MTV. And she was, she knew very much that the three of us wanted it to be organic as much as it possibly could. And that we were committed to something that we're all working on, even past the reality show, because it's a show that we all were involved in. So she was great about allowing us to be who we were, even if it at times had to be highlighted. I mean, heightened rather, I don't think Paul would ever kick like that in normal life,
True. Not true. He kicks like that all the time.
Never.
So
forever.
In that sense, it was great to do. And it was great to see, all these wonderful actors that we couldn't wait to cast if it wasn't in Elle Woods and something else. I mean, that's what it was like for me. So that's what was great.
Yeah. It was fun for me too to be working with Bernie, who I've auditioned for, like all of us have for years and years and years, to see him on camera and perform. And then every time he'd ever come to Legally Blonde after the show happened, I'd drag him to the stage door and be like, this was a judge on the get his autograph. I'd come, like me and Laura Bell, or when Bailey and Autumn joined, we'd come out and of course there'd be like autographs and stuff, but Bernie makes the stars, but I don't think he's always like recognized all the time, or maybe before this. So I think it was fun to see like him shine, and Heather the same way. But I also think no one knows what reality is until you're sitting in a chair with cameras on you being like, what would I say to that person? And there was something authentic about this process, as crazy as it looked. And the hoops the girls all had to jump through. There was something like towards the end, especially when we loved every girl on the show. When they performed, we were like so giddy, like these were family members that were performing on stage. It was like one of the most exciting things ever to see it on a Broadway stage, to see like Bailey and Autumn put those costumes on and the whole cast that we knew dance around them and stuff. Like it was thrilling.
Yeah, you never really get to see musical theater on TV in the way that it got shown on this show.
And no one has like ever tried to do this since. Like we've had Grease, You're the One That I Want. We've had like these British shows with like Maria and like other, I think there was one for Maria and like Oliver, but like nothing ever like this.
Yeah.
How about for you, Heather?
Well, I mean, my first objective with the whole thing was really just the preservation of the show and being true to the piece. And, you know, we had to nuance it slightly, you know, for some dramatic effect. But really, it was just being true to the show and for the show to continue on. But then I was just amazed at how much we got into the whole process and all the cliches of reality TV of, I can't believe I feel so much so fast. You know, all of that is so completely true because we were devastated to say goodbye to people. And I was just shocked at how emotionally engaged and how draining the whole process was.
Yeah, the stakes are so high the entire time because like we were saying, it's not like you're just playing for money or playing for some whatever else you'd see in a reality TV show. Like these are your dreams. Like this was your dream for so many of you. So it was like, I mean, it really did make incredible TV. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for zooming in and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Everybody stay safe.
Yeah, stay safe.
Stay safe.
Don't touch
Stay
anything.
healthy.
So nice
Stay
to see
sane.
everybody.
I know, it's so good seeing y'all.
Nice to see you. Bye.
Snaps.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Love you.
Bye.
All right, thank you guys again for doing this. This is so much fun. It's so fun to hear your insight of what happened. Let's talk about the spin bike day.
Now we can really talk.
Now we can.
And Dad's gone.
No.
It's still live, but
I mean, is Amanda really going on YouTube right now and taking?
no.
I think she's got kids to put to bed.
Let's talk about that spin bike day. That was the craziest thing I've ever seen on television.
Lena?
Well, I was kicked off by then, so
Lena.
should I rock and roll?
No, Cassie, stay. Cassie O. First of all, Cassie O from Ohio.
OH.
I'm from Sandusky.
I'm from Toledo. That's where I'm at right now.
No, I was like, when I saw that, I was like, oh my God. I remember watching it in real time being like, she's from near me.
Yes.
Amazing. No, so okay, before we talk spin bike then, what was Jen, do you have any questions about the first
let's talk
episode?
about the Empire Hotel and living there all together.
My favorite. My favorite.
I know Natalie.
Have you guys been back?
Now
Have you guys been back?
I had a good
Yes.
Oh yeah, Natalie told us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we lived like that room that we were in was basically a set, or not basically, it was a set built inside a rec room.
It's
like
where they hold
bar.
like wedding receptions.
Yeah, it's like a bar.
It's a bar now.
It's a bar.
Bar.
Do you remember the safety lights that were on 24/7?
Yeah.
And like at night, so like it was, the set was all like beautifully lit every day. You know, the Griffin Electrics would, light it. And then at night, there was no way to turn off the lights except for like one burly grip guy would come in and like pull the plug and the whole thing would just sort of, no one else would be there in the dark.
But do you guys, so there was like a bathroom for all of us that was like the staff bathroom or whatever.
Like on a different floor.
Dolls, yeah. And we'd go in there after the cameras were gone. We'd be like, guys, they're gone. And we'd go in there and hide in the bathroom and all laugh and talk until our room mother was like, you guys have to go to bed.
They wouldn't film in the bathrooms, so we could go in there and talk.
Do you guys remember those bathrooms too? It was just like stalls and like it wasn't like
stalls.
there was no proper lighting. There wasn't really where was the shower? It wasn't really like
It was downstairs. We had to go shower
in the hotel rooms.
Yeah,
That's
they
right.
had those hotel rooms that we showered in.
We had to be escorted to take a shower.
Yeah, remember we had times. We had to
We
get
could only go 2 at a time. Remember?
Did they let you like do hotel at night alone? What did like? How was
Oh no, we had
But it
everyone
doubled-
had
it
like
doubled
an
as the
escort.
interview room.
It was Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Chelsea and Mike.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Wasn't Mike one of them, or was he the
Yep.
like
Mike
line
was
producer?
Story
Mike,
producer.
no, Mike and Dana were the producers.
Yeah,
and then
there's
Chelsea
right.
They tried to get us to talk.
Yes.
Dana,
Totally.
Mike was like the easy producer. and Dana
Yes.
was the hard
Yeah.
one. She would
Yes.
be like,
Uh-huh.
Yes.
she's the one who hated us.
Lena, how are you still doing that?
I look, we biked for a day. We biked for 8 hours straight.
It was
They
a
did
lot
not
of
let us
hours.
stop. It was what they did to us for the bike
Did we
episode.
really
was
bike for 8
so
hours?
Yes. So ever.
yes, we biked
Yes.
forever, and they didn't let us stop. And I had to be like, "You need to fucking feed us." So I told Seth. I told Seth. Yeah, Seth Radetsky, who's our like the coach, right? I told him, I was like, Seth, they're not letting us eat. You've got to do something about this. This is fucked up. And he finally got us to have a break. And then they fed us like chips and cheese or something. And then we were able to get back on the.
Dude,
Didn't
that's what
you
I remember
look
the
into the
most.
camera because they couldn't use the footage as we were looking into the camera, and so you looked straight.
And then we
into
put
the
our hands in
camera.
our faces,
Yeah,
right?
and you were like,
Yeah.
"We need to eat."
Yeah. I kept looking in the camera. I was like, y'all need to feed us or I'm just going to like fuck this footage up. I don't care. So pissed at them.
Wow.
Yes. Well, that was when Lena, you were like, if you keep forcing us to bike for the next 7 hours, one of us is gonna faint. And one of the producers was like, okay.
Yes. They wanted us to faint.
And
They
we were
wanted
like,
us to faint.
Yeah, they wanted us to.
No one will faint. We will take over and win this challenge.
And we did.
Coming back.
Yeah, we all prevailed.
Remember the crunches on the medicine balls or the
Oh,
yoga balls?
Oh,
and we
yeah.
were like,
Supposed to sing while we're doing it.
It was, oh my God, we had to sing oh my God on those things and do crunches,
Mhm.
right?
What you want?
Yes.
So
It's
I mean,
horrible.
literally every clip of it's just like camp the whole time. And you're like, these are people. Like, you're right. I don't think this would happen now. I don't think this was so
No.
2008. Like, they wouldn't put you guys through this.
I
in
know, you have to
2020.
put
Yeah,
that
it's probably
with
illegal.
the melody where you were singing correctly and they made it seem like you didn't. And I know like Seth has gone on record since then and said that you were right and they edited it wrong. But
Yes.
Yes.
crazy.
Well, it was a harmony. They were teaching us harmonies, and so
Yeah.
we were learning it fast, and we were on ellipticals. But man, what a bummer!
Yeah.
That was a bummer.
You were
we have to
dumber.
talk about Cassie did the harmony perfectly
Yeah.
in that
Perfectly.
clip that you see. Like literally, I had to sing that harmony also, and I watched it and I was like, no, she was like spot on. Like
Well, then-
that's 100% what we were taught.
I don't know.
They
if you
only
guys
showed
remember
Cassie
Seth.
singing it. So
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're going to
she
show
looked
somebody
crazy.
singing the harmony without the melody, it's going to sound crazy.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
really.
You guys remember where he was like, Cassie was right, I was wrong, I want to go on record now so everybody knows. And it got played at 54 Below.
Yeah, but he said that thinking it
Yeah.
was me, not this Cassie. So I was like, that ain't it. But thank you, but that ain't it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was so much that they did to try and make us look really bad, you know, and they were able to pick and choose from footage. You know, we're all there, we're all live. Not everybody is perfect all the time. So if you're filming us 24/7, you're going to catch us like be flat or you're going to catch something.
Yeah.
And they were able to edit it any way they wanted during any episode. So
Yeah.
they wanted to make you look like shit for a specific episode. They would make
could.
you look like
Yeah.
shit.
Especially if they asked you to do it again and again, they might ask you to do the audition multiple times. So then
I
they could
sang
take
that
what they
first so
wanted
much
from
better. I think I sang that 2 or 3 times because they
Then
were
they
getting
pick
the
which one they
filming
want.
set up. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they filmed out of order. They filmed stuff out of order. Like I remember after having food poisoning, I remember we went back to film the beginning of the episode, and I remember being in a sweatshirt. I was like sweating and freezing and like trying to hold myself up. And I remember that curly-haired producer guy was like, Autumn, it's the beginning of the episode. Can't you look more excited and happy? And I was like, I think I'm in a hurl again. I don't know what you want from us.
Well, didn't that the footage of you in you know when you ran to the bathroom to throw up?
That's not real.
It's not her.
That's not
It's
real.
not her.
That's not even your feet.
It's like character shoes on somebody else's feet.
I was like, you know what? I can live with people thinking I'm from stage fright, but the fact that they think I wear Capezio heels and jeans to an audition is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. I refuse.
Oh my gosh.
That is so funny. That was such a crazy moment of the show too. That was so wild.
It's also funny because I remember them like being like, oh, and so is going to go next, and so is going to go next. And every week it was in a different order because like I remember being like, I went first last week. I don't want to go first again.
Yeah.
Like, and then in the episode I was like last. And it's
Third.
like,
Yes.
That's true. I forgot that.
What was going
All
through
manufactured.
so manufactured? What was going through y'all's head when they made Nikki Snelson drop that line on purpose?
Oh
my god! I was like,
holes. That is no, because that's
it's bad.
Fair, because it's not a performance. On a performance,
no,
you would fucking cover. In a performance, you would cover. This was an audition, and
right.
when you audition with someone, they are
Who
on
plays the
book.
role.
They
They
are
start
your
over.
leader. They are there
Right.
for you. You're not
Yeah.
there for them.
Yeah.
They're there for fucking you. So when they did that, I was like, bullshit. You
And
fucking.
we had Austin on the side, and all of us were like, "It's happening! It's all happening to everyone!" And none of us were not allowed to go back down where everybody was, and so we're just like watching a train wreck happen in front of us every single time, and not being able to do anything.
And remember, they put the commercial break in mine.
Yes. So you look like the biggest asshole.
I was standing there for 5 fucking minutes without doing anything, and it was like maybe a couple of seconds. I mean, the best one obviously was Natalie. Natalie kicked ass on that one.
Kicked it.
But but I was just like, what the fuck is going on? You're not supposed. You're my reader. You're not supposed to show the line in an audition. Yeah, but on stage, if anything like that happens, it's fine because you know to cover.
Right.
But like, I mean, at audition, come on.
Because you're
What did Natalie do? I can't remember.
She improv.
She covered.
She
covered immediately.
Work, Natalie.
Cover girl.
Like didn't miss a second.
What did you
Well
say?
done.
Do you remember?
What?
What did you say?
I know.
Do you
What
remember?
did you say?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I don't. I have that video though somewhere. I have it all. I have all the footage, guys.
Burned on CDs.
I burned them.
Burn them.
that was early on enough in the series where you're watching as a viewer, you're like, oh, we're in for
I
it
feel
with
like
these
when they
girls.
did that to us, I feel like that was the first time where we were like, oh, this is a reality show. This isn't like a normal. Like
We're playing dirty. We're playing dirty here.
Playing real dirty.
we then knew like shit was gonna happen every day. Like I feel like that was like
Yeah, it was like
on cobblestone like the next day, right?
Yeah.
no, that
Yes.
was the bikes
was later
were
on.
next. The bikes.
Oh, the bikes were next. That's right.
But not long after that was the other moment of the show where I had to like pause it and walk around my room for a little while. Bailey, when Seth said to you in one of the rehearsals, he's like, the judges didn't want you to come back this week. Just kidding. I was like, what?
I was like, wait,
Why would you do that to somebody?
But I remember they put that in like the press reel when the show first started to make it look like he was mean, and it's just like hard still.
There was
Dennis
They did
and
that-
Seth
they
were the
did that-
nicest.
The nicest.
They were our
They did that in the press reel about that episode. They showed a clip of me saying, "You're not in shape enough to be Elle Woods," and I'm reading the prompt and crying about it, but they made it look like I was saying it to somebody else in the press reel.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I
They had
remember
to get viewers.
Yeah, I remember there was this one point where I was in the room with Mike and doing like an interview because we had to interview with them for hours every freaking day. I'm telling you. I'm trying not to swear as much. I feel bad, but
Go for it.
But anyway, fuck it. So
fucking cares.
So I was in the room
and we were really tired, and I was so confused because sometimes they would say two different things when they would criticize our like audition. They would say something good, and then they would backtrack on themselves and say something really bad. And I was like so confused by the whole thing, and I was just tired. We hadn't eaten. It was late at night. And I was in the room with Mike, who I really liked. Like, he was like the guy who we all liked. Did someone make out with him? Anyway, so
I did.
Was it you?
Who?
100%.
And Bailey, right?
I didn't make out with him
No.
then.
Sorry. Then.
Not then.
Then it's strictly professional.
I didn't keep it professional.
So I'm in this,
I made out
I'm
with
in
him in
this
the stairwell. Sorry.
Who was that
At the end
talking?
of the show.
Oh, Emma.
like, yeah.
At the rap party, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Atta
I'm in
girls,
the
atta
room and
girls.
I'm doing this talk with the producer or whatever, and I'm tired, and I start crying, and I'm crying and talking about the producers of the show. I'm not talking about my audition or anything like that, and I'm saying like, they're fucked up. They're not feeding us. They're not letting us call our parents. They said they would let us call out. They said this, they said that, and they're really not doing any of that. And it's really frustrating because like I feel not looked after, right? And so they edited that as like a fuck you to me to make it look like I was talking about the like Bernie. And crying over my audition when it was so not even about that. It was about the producers. But I learned my lesson after that. I was like, wow, I can't believe I opened up to that guy. That was really stupid. There was a camera and it was on.
But that's so unfair to you guys because it like again, this is not like the Real World or Survivor or something where it was like just like a teacher from Illinois is going on the show. Like you guys were actors and it was your career, it was your dream.
That's when I knew I was like, oh, they don't understand musical theater because there was so much, if they wanted drama or they wanted anything interesting or out of the box, there was so much stuff that happened that they just didn't have any interest in filming. Like, us sharing clothes, us helping each other. Like I wore Natalie's shoes for one of the challenges. I wore, Lindsay's clothes. We were always helping each other. We were always, making each other laugh. Like I have a very vivid memory of Lena Hall's perfect ass in a thong chassing across the room with
oh my god.
It was like this move. I'll never forget. Not that I show that on TV.
No, I kept running around naked. I don't know why.
It was amazing. It's like they didn't know what good content was. They didn't know they were looking at some good content. And said, do you guys remember they were like, we want you guys to have a pillow fight tonight. And we had a pillow
You guys
fight.
hit me really hard.
We did.
I remember that.
I just remember being like, ow.
I remember in the pillow fight, for some reason, I decided to take my knife off because I thought that was.
That clip is somewhere on the internet. I have seen it. And
really?
Oh, yes, because they aired it on the MTV website when they aired the episode.
It was extra footage, right?
Extra footage.
Yes,
It is out there somewhere.
I'm pretty sure Natalie and I orchestrated that. I kind of remember us in cahoots.
I remember when my hair was getting too long, my bangs were getting too long, and Bailey said, I'll cut your bangs for you if you want. And I said, like, I was so nervous, and I was like, okay, because it was still like early episodes, and I was like, this is gonna go one of two ways. Either she's gonna do an amazing job and I'm gonna be so excited, or she's gonna lop them off right here and say, haha. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna trust her and just let her do it. And that was the best haircut I've ever had. Like that's the best
hairdresser. It's foreshadowing for your amazing salon. It's the foreshadowing.
Yeah, right there. See, now I need to come there to get my hair cut because I've never had good bangs since then.
Oh, yes.
So Cassie asked, I have a question for you that's on the comments. People want to know about awesome, blossom, fabulous, fantastic.
Yes.
Read the comments.
Awesome, blossom, fabulous, fantastic.
Did you say that for the show? Like, how did it happen?
Yeah.
I mean, it was stuff like that. Look, I love kids, and I was teaching kids a lot at the time, and so I just made up lots of different stuff, and I think it just kind of came out. I don't know, but it stuck. Boy, people still say that to me to this day. It's actually really funny, just saying like what everybody is talking about, like that all of the, like, there was a lot of editing that was happening. I feel like that was pretty much my entire role on the show, was like me talking about sushi, but then like it making the trailer for the next episode about like how somebody should like drop dead or something. It was a very confusing time.
They were so cruel to her.
It's not right.
So mean to you. It was not right.
I love you guys.
Not right.
Cassie you're like the delight of the world, and the way they edited you was just very unfair and not right.
You were guys, therapy has helped it so much. I love all of you. I mean, it is what it is.
I think we all love you so much, and we fought so hard for you. I remember any like message I got or post that I got that was like, oh, but is she awful? And I was like, no, she's not awful. Editing is awful. She's amazing. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So
that's more proof. That's more proof that MTV didn't know how to edit us and how to set up the format, because after the show, I remember I was part of an organization. It was like one of the first anti-cyberbullying organizations, because y'all, some of the shit that they wrote to us on those forums were so mean. And I know that still goes on now, but since it came back up on YouTube, it's nothing but positivity. It's nothing but
it is funny. It's different.
Participation in the camp. It's different now. It's so supportive, and it's like a celebration of this funny, cool, thing that happened, and oh, you're all wonderful and you love each other. But at the time, it was so competitive, and I think that energy like seeped out into the audience of it at that time, and it was really it was caustic afterwards. It was
Autumn,
bad.
It was.
You told me a story once how they said make Facebook profiles, accept anyone, interact with people.
Oh, we had to make MTV profiles.
Yes. Yeah, so we had to have MTV profiles. Yeah, we had to have MTV profiles, and then the what?
Oh no, go ahead. I said I baked a cake for somebody through like that weird profile. I told somebody that I baked the cake.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, I remember they said, well, you have to make one of your social media, they didn't call it that then, but you have to make one of them public so that your fans can write to you on the MTV website and one of your other ones. And I'm such an idiot. I was like, well, this Facebook thing is so stupid. It's never going to take off. So I'll keep my MySpace and I'll make Facebook public.
Right?
Bad choice.
Yeah. You guys, the comments I would get on the MTV thing, and they were so brutal. I went through hell with that because I was told I was ugly and untalented, that I sucked, that I should just die. It was bad. And
that was the worst
death threats.
Worst part of the whole thing for me too.
There's a lot of people on the comments asking about your fashion then, and did they dress you? Did you have to dress yourself?
Oh, unfortunately, we had to dress ourselves.
Oh, you can tell.
The producers did
dress us. They did a bad job.
Yeah. They specifically asked us to bring pink clothing.
They did.
And
wait, how much money did you guys spend before you went? Because I definitely spent like $500 on my little like 19-year-old credit cards, being like, I'm gonna get all the pink wardrobe.
But Lord knows I could not dress myself. I didn't know who I was at 18, and I couldn't put an outfit together to save my life, and now it's on national television.
I liked your baby doll dress.
Oh God. That's the one where I'm really sad. There's like that scream like cap that I'm really sad. I'm like, the baby doll dress.
You guys, we should do a musical production of Legally Blonde: The Search for Elle Woods, the musical, where we write a musical about our experience on the MTV reality show.
I'm in.
Actually, not to like spoil it, but I started writing a one-woman show based on my journals with clips from the show.
That's amazing.
That's really good.
But with your blessing, we'll talk about it another time. But.
Guys, I've heard it. It's really good. It's really good.
Oh, I can't wait. I want to come see it.
Yeah, I would watch that very much.
Well, I would
watch it
I'll
too.
make an appearance.
Incredible. How about another one of my favorite challenges was when they're like, all right, to find out who can be the next Elle Woods, which one of you has chemistry with the dog? And they make they bring that dog out and they're like, all right, play with the dog. Let's see how this goes.
Wait,
I know.
we need to talk about this because everyone was so excited to see those dang dogs. And if you pause when that screen, like when they bring those dogs in, you will notice my face of fear. You go, oh, I am allergic to dogs. Like for real,
But
allergic
Lauren
to
too?
dogs.
Lauren, you're
Really
allergic.
allergic. I broke out in hives everywhere. I was like,
No.
I'm happy to be here.
Awful.
I'm really happy.
And I for sure was like, this is the end. They're gonna make it a thing. I'm not gonna be able to do anything because I'm gonna be sneezing and like not breathing. And so I was terrified. But by the end, I was like, oh, they're so cute. But like, also, I'm so scared. And I'd never like worked with a dog because I'm allergic to dogs. So everyone was like, oh, dog. And I was like, hi, dog.
I thought the same thing too because people are always like,
Then you did the tour and worked with the dogs all the time.
Those dogs were so good.
You know that saying, people are like, dogs can smell your fear. I was like, they're gonna know I'm allergic to them and they're not gonna want to work with me.
You guys remember the challenge that we did? So we do like a challenge and then we'd each do the challenge individually and then they'd pick a winner and the winner would go and get something great or whatever. And I remember this time they went through everyone with the dog challenge and they said, all right, so we're going to go back and pick the winner. And I was like, yo, y'all, I haven't gone yet.
Oh my
I haven't gone yet. And then that was the one Autumn won. And then Autumn took me with her to go to Blake. That was the episode I was out. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot
So
about that.
good.
You guys would win challenges and take people with you for like special rewards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the challenge that I won, they didn't even show us a challenge. And I was so proud of myself because I'd finally won a challenge. It was in like one of the last episodes. Then they didn't even show it. And they were like, okay, so instead of like doing something special for you and a person, it's just everyone's going to get it. I was like, I have to share my special win. That was the night that we had the dinner and they did the Tiffany's bracelets.
Yes.
And I was like,
that you won?
I won that challenge and no one even counted it. I finally won a dang challenge.
Which one was it?
It was when we had to change our clothes really fast. The quick change challenge.
Oh, yeah.
I think they couldn't show it because I dropped my pants before I got behind the screen. And so I think they were like, Rhiannon are on the screen. So.
That's amazing. Like you guys were saying earlier, the editing of it all is so crazy to me. And Autumn, I think you were saying this, like it's like you guys don't know what you have there. I don't know if you guys are Drag Race fans at all, but it's the same thing with that show where it like takes a while for them to realize like, oh right, these are drag queens. If we just keep the cameras on them, like the stakes aren't going to be really high. Yeah. You guys were fighting for a dream opportunity.
Yeah.
It's already exciting and scary to like watch and see if somebody's gonna like be able to hit the note or like where they're at that day.
I think so many
all
shows,
actresses. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, same thing. I mean, I think so many shows are about like, reality shows are about wanting to be famous, but we literally are people who just want to be on the stage. And it's a totally different energy. Like we were not there to try and be dramatic and be remembered for that. We just wanted to be seen by these casting directors as someone that we want to work with.
I didn't even know what a reality show was. I mean, at that time there weren't really many, and certainly not for musicals. And so, to your point, like I think the focus naturally was on the show and whatnot, just because I mean I didn't even know what reality. I had no clue what I was doing there, guys. I had no clue to this day.
Yeah, the concept of it was so new. Like other than Real World and The Bachelor, there wasn't like the stuff that you see now.
This was like when MTV had The Hills, and I think they wanted it to be like that at the end of the day.
Well, I remember.
Hi. How cute are you?
Hi. Oh my God.
Tell me who you are.
I am Punzo.
Oh. Punzo today.
Are you a Punzo?
Do you have long hair?
Elle.
Elle Woods.
Elle Woods.
Elle Marie.
Elle Marie.
That's my middle name.
That's my
Oh.
middle name.
What? I love your mini shirt.
Roxy, thank you.
Oh, cute.
Come here, boo boo.
How old is she, Bailey?
Oh no.
She'll be 3 May 3rd.
Wow.
Happy early birthday.
She's a handful.
Yeah, take over, girl. Take over.
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh yeah.
If you guys could hear what's happening in my downstairs right now.
Hey, look.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Accessorizing.
Oh,
Looking for Elle. Here I am.
She looks good.
Oh, muffin.
Here, look. You see who's talking? Here.
Hi.
Hi. Look,
Hi.
there's Natalie. There's Autumn.
Hi.
Kim. Say hi. Hi.
Hi. Hello, friend.
Oh, you are so sweet.
You tell him hi. Munchkin. Can you tell him hi?
No.
Fair. That's fair. That's fine.
Okay.
You poke that side.
All right.
That's the laugh. That's the good, the laugh.
Now. Okay.
Adams.
Hi.
Hi.
Are you getting a ponytail? Yeah. Rapunzel has a long braid or ponytail, right? And she lets it all down.
That's right.
Oh, look at those gorgeous locks. Yes.
Wonderful.
Someone says, how is Lena still on the bike?
I know. I don't understand.
That's how you win a Tony, you guys. Tony Award winner. She's still on the bike.
How many calories?
Man, I'm in it. I'm in it to win it, kids. I'm in it
See?
to win it.
Me too.
Oh, I wasn't.
Cheers.
We have someone asking how long
Cheers.
between when the finale was filmed and when you started on Broadway.
Me, we wrapped filming March 18th and let's see, the reality show aired on June 2nd. And I think
We went in August?
July, I think opening night was July.
Right, because the show ended like the middle or end of July. I remember that.
Yeah, I think it was like July 22nd. I should know my
It was on a bike
Broadway
too.
debut. Yeah, but it was July because I moved there in May, and I had, let's see.
And you lived with
May.
Paul, right?
Yes, I lived with Lena. Yes, and she was the best roommate anybody could ever ask for, and I would live with her again if I could, if she would have me. Seriously. And
I will vouch for that because Selena lived with me and Jared when she was in LA for Hedwig.
And she's the best.
For 2 months, and we were like, you can live with us anytime.
I will third that. I stayed at Lena's for an audition, and Lena was an amazing host. So everybody's staying with Lena.
Yeah.
I also lived with Lena's sister when I started the tour.
Right.
And then I started there together. Yep.
Oh my
And
God.
Lena's sister did my hair when I was in Legally Blonde.
Amazing.
She would highlight it and everything. Yep. That's
So
right.
this is a good segment.
Me.
People asking
Can you say hi?
Oh, Tim's on a workout bike now.
Yeah, in solidarity with Lena and with what you all had to go through. I'm also going to be on the bike.
we have people
My
asking
bike is on my terrace.
and how that happened.
What, Jen?
We have people asking about dyeing your hair in the show.
Oh, yeah, we have to talk about the
We
hair
have to talk
dyeing.
about that, yeah.
Oh, the hair dyeing.
Ugh.
How many people had to do that? It was you, it was Natalie, Autumn, Bailey,
I did.
Brianne, and Lauren.
Yeah.
Mine was the easiest though. Like they trimmed my hair and like highlighted it. Mine was nothing. I was the first one done, and then I waited hours. Like
it took a long time.
Hours, because Autumn was last, right? Yours took the longest.
Yeah. I only hate that episode because I'm embarrassed of my reaction because to the audience, I cried for no reason because, like, you know, my hair didn't look that much different. Although now being a hairstylist, it was the worst haircut I've ever had in my entire life. So I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry to the guy who did it, who's apparently like a very popular hairstylist.
I'm not sorry. He was drunk and full of himself. He messed it all up.
It was awful, 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 awful. So knowing now what I know now, it was the worst. I would never go back again.
Yeah. Bailey, I wanna go blonde. I wanna go back to my blonde roots. I need you to do it.
Girl, I will come and take care of you.
Yes.
Let me know and I will. We'll do it, and your hair will still be intact on your head.
Yes. Yes. That guy, he like, I don't know what they were thinking, but like for me and Autumn, we both were pretty dark, and Autumn with her texture was really hard too. But like, they bleached my hair 3 times to get it that color.
Which is a huge no-no.
Yes. Very yellow. And then it was like for years because I had to grow.
How did you guys? What was the process getting it back? I mean, you dyed it back. What was that process like?
Mine was like straw for like years until it finally just all grew out because it was like so dry and brittle from bleaching. In Autumn, your hair.
Yeah, I remember standing in my bathroom, and I was my boyfriend at the time. I was like,
I
think
that's
what?
Oh, Jeff, shut the fuck up. Oh my God, sorry. I'm like, I have no patience. Sorry. I'm like, people think I'm like all cute and sweet, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. Okay, sorry.
We know the real you, Emma. We love the real you.
Thank you.
Day 26
Thank you.
of quarantine. It's like,
I'm like,
anyone
shut the
living
fuck up.
with me, I'm going to kill you.
Love you.
We're all gonna murder our housemates. No, my hair. I remember they bleached it 3 times. They bleached it once, put a color over it, then bleached it again, put another color over it, then bleached it again and put another color over it. And then I remember it was sort of fine through the end of the show. And then like a couple weeks after the show was done, I was blow drying it straight. And my boyfriend at the time came in the bathroom. He goes, "Oh, did you cut your own hair?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And I looked on, and I had all of this back hair had just broken off and fallen on the floor as I was blow drying it. I just didn't notice it. And so I got a pixie cut. I remember that. My hair unnecessary.
Afterwards, when we were up there, I remember you being like, "Guys, it's just falling out."
Yeah.
Like,
and then they just put you in wig. They put you in a wig for the final episode. So why did
wig?
When I think back of that now, I mean, knowing what I know now, like I am almost 100% sure that what they did to yours and Natalie's hair was A, unnecessary, but B, they did it because they needed something to happen.
Dramatic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dramatic.
Because that is like cardinal rule number 1. That is the biggest no-no. And you've got the most like curly hair is the most like fragile hair ever. Yeah. I mean, that makes me so mad thinking about
it. Took years and years. Also, I remember I don't know if there's a clip of it, but I will never ever forget. He after they like dyed it, and it was like basically straw, right?
Yeah.
And they were combing through it, and it hurt so bad. And he was like, "Well, now we're going to give you a cut. So I'm just going to take your hair." And I'll never forget, he took this section from the middle, and the camera was like right there. I was sitting right here, and he was behind me, and he goes, "So," and then I will never forget that he was holding a chunk of my hair, and he went, "Oh no, Marcy, pour me more wine. I'll be back." And then left. I was like, I think
Not
he just
pour me more. Why?
I mean, y'all remember
that's unacceptable.
He sent us home with like all of his products.
Yes.
I love you, Bailey. I love how passionate you are about this specific.
Look at her perfect hair. She does amazing. She knows what she's doing.
Your hair looks incredible, Bailey.
Seriously.
You've always had the most amazing hair.
Yeah.
The most amazing.
Her and Lindsay.
Bailey taught me how to curl my hair.
Lindsay, your thick, beautiful hair. Oh,
yeah, Lindsay. Christ.
Yeah, she's got some hair.
Yeah.
I'm so scarred by the whole thing. I dyed my hair red.
Yeah.
You look great, Red.
So scarred by it, I had to go red.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, you look really good, Red.
You do look good, Red.
Emma, in the comments section, someone wrote, Jeff, take your break.
Oh my God, that's definitely one of my friends or my sister watching, because the minute they found out this was happening, they're like, "Oh, so we're gonna go on and we're gonna ask all these questions and we're gonna make you embarrassed." And I was like, "Do your worst, bitches. Do your worst." I was, and meanwhile, I've been getting from my.
I know. I missed that laugh.
Emma, I missed your laugh.
I know so much.
Yeah. I just miss this group of girls.
I miss you all.
No, you guys, we need to do like a weekend together. We could do it here at my house in Connecticut, where we all come up with our like just and like have a weekend together where you guys are free from the kids and just we'll hang out.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I also want us to go to that bar at the Empire one time too.
Oh
my gosh.
Yes.
We should.
Well, Natalie, you went back and you had frosé, right? During the concert.
We had frosé. I went and visited our bathroom.
You did not.
The same.
You did?
Yeah, last year when we did the reunion concert, Jared, my husband, and I, we went one night where I was like, we have to go back and see our old apartment.
What does it look like up there now?
It's actually gorgeous. It's much prettier than when we were there. It's like a full-on.
Oh, it's so pretty. Although I'm drunk enough to admit this, I remember. Watch out! That room that we were able to take showers in, it was like a proper hotel room, right? And they would escort you to get a shower or whatever. And I remember Chelsea was like, Autumn, I can trust you. I have to make a phone call. Take your shower. I'll be back in the room in, 15 minutes or whatever. But like, I trust you. Just don't go anywhere. Please don't go anywhere. Whatever. I was like, fine, I won't, whatever. I took a shower and I came out and I was like, I'm gonna check out this hotel room. And I like kind of went all over the room. And then I opened the closet and there was like the robes and the everything. And it's a nice hotel. Can't believe I'm gonna say this. There were like little goodies, there were like sundries,
yes,
sodas and everything. But there was also a pleasure packet.
Oh, yeah.
And I definitely took that. The best thing, it had a tiny mini vibrator, which I think I still have. It doesn't work, but I think I still have it.
That was in a hotel room?
I feel like I remember this. I feel like I remember this.
I remember you telling us you'd
Yes. Yes, I was like, I'm stressed. I'm taking this pleasure packet. I need another 15 minutes for a shower.
I can remember sneaking and watching TV one time when I got out of the shower and blow dry my hair.
Yes.
That was just a joy for me, just watching some TV.
Well, yeah, because everyone needs to like realize we were not allowed to have our phones, our computers, no books. They took away my magazine.
No newspapers.
Yeah, because
no music, no nothing.
Yeah, they didn't want us talking about anything current, so they took away everything that like we would be able to see that was current, and like all like we couldn't have conversations with outside people, and we would go to restaurants, and they would say like you can't talk to the girls about why they're here, like please just take their orders and stuff. So that was awesome.
Yeah,
I remember one time they were like, okay, we're gonna run you guys into Starbucks to grab snacks, and I was like, hi, like human contact. And they're like, stop talking to people, Brianna. And I was like, I'm so sorry. There's just people. I don't know. Like,
wait, didn't we see a movie?
Yes.
Did we see a movie?
We all got mani-pedis and went to a movie. It was with Will Ferrell.
Was I off the show?
Ferrell.
Yeah, it was like he was a basketball player or something.
I don't know.
Yes.
I only remember the time that we went to Sarah Beth's, which is one of my favorite restaurants.
I remember that.
Shout out Sarah Beth's and Natalie. Oh
my gosh, Natalie.
Stuck in her like sinus.
I wound up, so I had this like veggie frittata that had these bell peppers, and I was like eating it, and someone said something during the breakfast, and I laughed and I snorted it.
And it went through.
That's right. It went through
in there, and I was like for days, I was like
that pepper.
Like 3 days later, I was like,
That was so funny.
Everyone just wants to know, like, Natalie is a trickster and a jokester, and she's so funny that we were all like, okay, Natalie, like, still up. And then a few days later, she goes,
out.
A few days later, she goes,
It came out.
See, I told you.
Tag on it.
It was so nasty.
Lena, I literally don't know how you're still doing that. I spun
don't
for
understand.
maybe 2 minutes, and then
I
said,
know. Why'd you stop? How
It
dare,
was
how
very,
dare you.
very tiring.
It is.
It
How
was
long
very
is this live
exhausting.
stream? this is what we did for hours.
Hours.
For all day.
Also, you guys,
My
my
bum
dad
hurts
just
so
texted
bad.
me a pleasure package.
Hi, Adam's dad.
Hey.
That's impressive.
We have people that are asking about the finale and how that all went down.
Oh, the finale.
Finale between you and Bailey.
I mean,
Wait, I have to pee, but I'll be
Yeah, go.
this part, so I'm gonna leave.
She's gonna go cough up a pepper and be right back.
Before, where you guys had to do the whole I'm a triple threat challenge, and then it was the two of you after.
Yeah. I mean, it was surreal.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, there was so much to show. So thankfully there wasn't a lot of like extra garb. Like there wasn't a bunch of crap they needed to fill in the spaces for drama purposes. I mean, what do you think, Autumn? I feel that way. Like I just felt like it was, they kind of showed you everything we actually did for once in the reality show.
It was a whole day. It was it seems like it took an hour for us to do parts of 3 numbers.
Yeah.
But it was, we woke up super early. We got on set, literally on the Broadway set. And then we had like a little run through, and then hair and makeup. I never got the hair and makeup though. That never got around to me. It was kind of a frenzied day because I think again it exhibits that MTV really did not understand what Broadway. They just really didn't know what Broadway was, because I think they were as kind of amazed at the intricacy of what happened on stage as we were. And anyone that's been in a Broadway show, that there's so many moving pieces, and before you have a put in it on Broadway, you have many rehearsals. You walk the set many times, you see the show. There's so much preparation. And Bailey and I were kind of like, they were like, here's this dark hole where you're going to rehearse, and then you're just going to do it on stage with moving scenery and like walk upstairs as it's moving with all of the people that are in Broadway that have done it a million times.
Yeah, and like, don't step in that hole right there,
because you'll fall to your death on national television. The finale was it was like a whirlwind, and our parents were there.
Oh my God. Cute.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. I will say something that clouded that day for me, and I don't think many people know this, but my ex-boyfriend showed up.
Oh my God.
Really?
Right.
Okay. And little backstory on that.
Just cackling.
He broke up with me right before I left to go to New York, because his words, he said, I don't think I can wait for you.
Oh, I remember that.
Okay.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I think I remember telling all you that. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, if you can't support me in reaching my dreams, then
it's only a few weeks.
I know. Like, I was like, I'm not gonna even make it past one day. Like, get over yourself. I was like, okay, well, if you can't support me, then bye. So
done.
He found out about it and bought a ticket and flew out with my parents, and like my parents had no clue what was going on, and the only reason he was able to make it into the theater is because they thought he was my brother, because he looks like my older sister who's brunette. So when I was sick to my stomach. I was so mad. I was so mad. So listen, I asked Amanda Lippitz, I asked her, I was like, please, can you do me a favor? Can you please contact the MTV producers? You've got to get his face blurred out of the show. Like, this is embarrassing. I don't want him to take any of my, you know, what I've worked hard for. Like, he didn't want to support me and stay with me. So heck no. So she did. So if you go back and watch the episode, my poor sister, you don't see her often because he's sitting beside her and they had to blur him out and edit some scenes to where you can't really see him. So there's a part where they show my parents and you can see like a little black blur behind, I can't remember if it's my mom or dad's head, and it's my ex-boyfriend. They were able to edit him out for me.
Wow.
That is wild.
Wow. Snaps,
also,
Bailey. Way
snaps.
to fucking stand up for yourself.
Yeah,
girl.
Oh, here, loser. Sorry.
And
That
it
is like-
totally clouded like me winning too, because I knew I had to deal with that afterwards.
Right.
Because he literally got into the taxi with me to go back to the airport. To go back to the hotel, and I was like, "What are you doing here?" And he was like, "Oh my God, I love you. I'm gonna get." He was wanting to go to med school, and he was like, "I'm gonna apply to like medical schools here in New York." I was like, "Hold up, no, you're not, because we're not doing that together." Like,
That's
no.
literally the plot of Legally Blonde.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Yeah, it was.
Except he's Elle, sort of.
Yeah. But then when he like comes back around, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, please. I just remember our parents all, like, our families had to, like, they shared a van too there, and they had I just imagine that, like, on the way to seeing the performance, they're like in the van, like, "Oh, this is so exciting, nice to meet you, this is so great," and then afterwards they're like,
That's how it was. I remember their faces. I totally remember it.
Your poor parents.
I
Just
totally
like,
yeah.
Someone in the comment
Crazy.
section.
We have
Someone in
people asking how it happened that Lauren, Rhiannon, and Autumn, you all were a part of the show after.
And the timeline of that. Like, Autumn, someone wants to know, Autumn, did you know, like, right after the show ended that you would get to go to Broadway with it, or how long?
yeah, no, it was again, just very surreal. We did that closing number. And then I remember Mark Bruni, who's associate director, and Dennis Jones, associate choreographer, and Jerry and everybody, Bernie, they kind of pulled me into this alcove on the Broadway stage, and they said, you know, congratulations, we love you made it so far. We'd love for you to be part of the show. We'd love to have you be in the Broadway company somehow as the ensemble and cover for Elle. And I remember at the time, I actually, this is not flattering, but I remember at the time I was like, but could I go on tour as Elle?
Way to go,
Such an
babe. Way
asshole.
to go.
Ask for what you want, girl.
Yeah.
And they were like, no. but I also remember part of that was so painful too, because it was my Broadway debut, and I wanted to make my Broadway debut so bad. That was my dream. But we'd been, for the whole time you were shooting, it's, we kind of say it pejoratively, but they made you think that they really kind of got in your head, like, your family is going to be so disappointed in you. No casting director is ever going to respect you if you don't win. If you not just like, if you don't succeed on the show, if you don't win this thing, you're nothing. You're like, you're, and especially towards the end, they just kind of drummed that into your head, and because they want you to be hungry for it. They want to, they're doing their job. They weren't doing anything bad. They really were doing their job. I do want to say that even
But as if you're not hungry for your dream enough.
Yeah,
it's like,
they wanted to make good TV. But I just remember in the interim, because we finished filming in March and it was supposed to air in like April or May, but it didn't air until June.
It got delayed.
It was a long wait time. And I booked 2 jobs, like 2 huge jobs in between that. And I couldn't take them.
No. Did you really? What did you book?
Yes. I mean, it doesn't matter because I couldn't do them, but because that was the thing. They were like, well, you could do the job, but you can't be in Legally Blonde. You know what I mean? Like, I had to make really difficult decisions. So I think, I don't know. What was the question?
No, people just wanted to know. You answered it. People wanted to know.
For tour, I know for me, it was there's a thing of it somewhere. As soon as I got eliminated, then they were like, stop cameras, stop rolling. We have to film again. Like, we need to replace the camera. And I was like, are you kidding me? I have to get told again that they're worried about my voice and I can't sing and you know, like all those things going on in your brain. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do this again. So I like pulled myself back together and I'm standing there holding like Autumn and Bailey's hands being like, oh my God. And then they came on and they were like, we're letting you go, but we do want to bring you back for the final callback of Margot. And then I was like so excited. And there had been talks. I do remember having a conversation in the early days about coming in for Margot on Broadway. But then because of the pushback, then they were like, how would you feel about going out on tour instead? And I was like, absolutely, I'll go out on tour. I'll do whatever you want. Like, I was fresh out of school. I just wanted to sing and dance. Like, I didn't care where I was singing and dancing. And so then that's when I signed up to do the tour as Margot and then understudy Elle.
What about you, Lauren?
Everything's so blackout for me. So I think this is how I remember it happening. I think there was a rap party somewhere. Was it at the Empire? So
yeah, it was at the
Rhiannon and I, we hadn't gone home or anything yet, right? No.
Yeah, we didn't.
No, we were all still there.
I remember it was like very informal. It was like
floor down.
Yeah. It was like at the rap party, like everybody's like drinks in hand. And Bernie was like, so you want to do the Elle understudy on the tour? And I was like, okay.
Mine was after the rap party. Mine was a call. I got a phone call.
Mine was at the rap party, and I didn't know how to conduct myself or answer that question. So I was like, okay.
You got to do Elle on the tour, Lauren, right? For a little bit?
I did for a little bit. It was like a very bizarre situation. Our Elle Woods, Becky Galsvig, who is unstoppable.
She's
like,
delightful.
She's unstoppable. Like she is so strong and resilient and like hadn't ever taken any time off. She had a freak accident walking up an escalator, I think. She broke her big toe, which is like, it doesn't sound serious, but you actually can't do anything.
No,
Can't do anything when you break your big toe.
The Kennedy Center got a lot of us.
So she was out for a couple months. And then I had like a different temp contract that was like, I did it during the week. And then Laura Bell Bundy came in and did it like on a couple weekends here and there. And my understanding was like, that was so that they didn't have to, because once you do the show so many times in a row, they have to offer you the contract.
They have to offer you the contract.
The way that they avoided that was by bringing, I mean, I'm sure Laura Bell wanted to come in too, was by bringing Laura Bell in to do it a couple of weeks. And of course, people would rather see Laura Bell Bundy do the role. But then
Not true.
Then
Wow, they would have loved to see you.
Laura Bell also fell and fractured her elbow during that time, and then also was out.
And I got out because I broke my leg.
Oh my God, you're fine.
I was out for like 3 months. I broke my leg on tour. Yeah.
Oh my God. Like really broke your leg.
Yeah. I fell out of the spring flaming.
Yes.
I fell out of that lift and broke my leg.
During a performance.
During the show?
Oh yeah, I did it during the show, and then I thought it was shin splints, so I danced on it for 2 weeks.
And it was broken?
It was broken.
My
Guys, just listen to your bodies. Don't go crazy.
But now would you say that you're so much better than before?
I'm so much better than before.
Autumn, you never got to go on Elle on Broadway, right?
No.
But then you did the role after.
I did the role for 2 weeks at North Carolina Theater, and Dennis Jones directed it.
Yeah,
and it was
that's
dream.
cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
How
Also-
many of us have done Elle regionally?
Oh yeah, raise your hand.
I've never done the show.
Me neither.
I've never done
never
the
got touched.
show. No one ever wanted to hire me.
Tina, let me tell you, I fought really hard to try to get you to be my Vivian. I'm just gonna say that. I fought real hard. Real hard.
That would have been awesome.
Thank you.
So we have to
Oh,
ask
version of
Bailey,
the
what
show.
was it like when you won, and then after having to keep it a secret, did you have to be in a disguise to go to rehearsal? What was that?
Did you have to wear a wig?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
you
yes.
had to wear a wig.
Yes, a wig that my daughter now plays with because she loves wigs. When I came back to South Carolina right after I won because there was so much of a gap between the show ending and then the rehearsals for me starting. And it kind of sucked being at home, for the mere fact that like everybody in my small town, like, you know, obviously knew I'd been on this reality show. And you know, especially close family and friends knew that my parents flew to New York. So they knew something was up. So everybody wanted to ask me. And I kept saying, well, if you got money to tell me, like, you know, and so I got really annoying, but I think I pretty much slept for like 2 weeks after that because I was so exhausted. But when I came to New York, I didn't even think about a disguise. It was actually Amanda Lippitz that was like, you need a wig, and because you don't understand, like, you've got to be in disguise when you go to these rehearsal spaces because there are Broadway people at these rehearsal spaces, and we don't want anybody to see you because obviously people know that you are not from here and you don't live in New York. So if they see Bailey in New York, they're going to know, oh my God, I think she won. So Lena took me to a wig store. Do you remember that? And she helped me pick out the wig. It was like it was like a dark brown with like these auburn highlights, and it had like lots of layers.
The worst. Like the worst.
There have to be pictures of that somewhere, right? That sounds.
I don't know if there are.
I
had to have taken a
because I
selfie.
feel like I've seen pictures of you in that wig because I didn't.
Someone's got to find them. I don't think
Yeah.
they have any.
Show us the wig.
No, wait, you guys. No, there's a picture of the three. There's three of us: Bailey, you, and me in a wig, and Natalie. No, was it Natalie or Autumn?
It was Natalie.
Me.
Yeah,
because we went to your
three of us
sister's
were in a wig.
salon.
Yes, yeah, I have that picture somewhere.
Oh, we gotta
Yes,
dig
that's
that
right.
one up.
God, wow.
I want to know
Because
from.
Natalie, you had a blonde wig on, didn't you? Like pink. It was like there's pink
Well,
in
that
it.
was when we saw Selena in her cocaine band. What was that?
Gosh, yes. It was
Yes,
incredible.
Coco, yes.
Coco.
Wait,
Yeah.
when did I see that?
That is
I didn't see that
right.
as well, so it seems like
I
was, like,
remember like we went to Brooklyn and I was like,
Yes.
I'm from LA. I'm like, I'm in Brooklyn.
Cassio and Lindsay, I want to know, normally on a reality show, when you're eliminated, it happens in front of the rest of the cast. But on this show, they tell you guys to go home and then you just don't go back to see your friends to like say goodbye or anything. Were you able to like get your cell phones at least back right away? And,
No,
like,
I had to sit in the hotel for like the next week where I just like got room service.
Downstairs, right?
Or
Yeah.
I just
Oh
like
my God.
sat. I was in quarantine basically. I was
Yeah.
quarantined. We were quarantined, and like you had to get somebody if you want to go to the gym. They had to sit with you. You couldn't leave. You could get whatever
for
you
a
wanted. but
full
couldn't leave.
week for you
For a
two,
full
Lindsay?
week.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly how long it was, but it was a quarantine. We couldn't get our cell phones back. They didn't want us communicating with anybody. I just remember crying.
Did they make you like
Miss the girls.
joke on
If
it?
I couldn't be with the girls, I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be
Exactly. What was the point?
home, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us for this. This has been so fun. I'm gonna have us go around the circle of everybody, and if there's anything you want to plug or any social media you want to plug or anything like that. And then as a thank you so much for doing this, because Jen and I really appreciate you doing this. I'm gonna
wrap up. People are asking like how much you learned from being on the show, what you could tell yourself. I think that's a good thing to wrap with.
Okay.
Yeah, so as we go around, but then just so you guys know, I'm gonna cut the live stream and cut the recording. And Jen, I think we'll give them some privacy and I'll take my headphones off. And if you just want to like catch up with each other outside of the live stream, I'll keep this going and walk away for a while. Thank you guys so much for doing this. This is like,
Thank you.
truly like
Thank you.
I said in the Instagram message to you, like this show, every night I would like be watching 30 Rock and then I would turn on like Reno 911 and then I'd be like, what's gonna keep my attention right now? And I would put this on and be like, so let's go around the room. We'll go clockwise from where it is on the screen. So Lena, we'll start with you.
And people just want to know that and who did the reunion concert, how that was too. Let's start with Lena.
Well, I didn't do the reunion concert. I don't remember where I was. I couldn't make
You
it
were
in.
in
I was very sad.
Bermuda, baby. Or you were
I was in Bermuda.
Yes.
That's right.
You were like, sorry, I'm in Bermuda, bitch. I'm like,
Sorry about
it.
What I learned is that reality TV is not what you think it is. It is certainly not reality. I wish I had known that at the time. I would have been much more of I don't know, maybe I would have been more of a character. than I already am. But I will say that no matter what happens in life, it's all about the journey. And I would have never have thought that I would be where I am now from that moment in time. And I'm just proud of my own persistence in this business and not letting those comments and that social media shit that we had to do, not letting that get me down, and not letting losing something like this publicly get me down, and just keeping on going to the point that I've gotten to now. So
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
yeah, I learned a lot.
Yay.
Natalie.
Yes, and girl, I saw you in Hedwig on a Tuesday matinee around Christmas time, and you were so good. I was like, what is happening? Also, get Lena's album is out now.
Oh yeah. Last thing, my album, I just released an album. It's called The Villicitory. My TV show's coming out called Snowpiercer on TNT.
Yes.
That's coming out on May 17th. And
awesome.
I am wearing a brand called Millie, and go check them out online, millie.com. They have these really cute pink things. So yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Lena.
Thank you.
And sorry, Jen, did you say somebody?
I said Natalie can go next.
Natalie, yeah. What did you learn from the show?
Okay, gosh, what did I learn? So much. I learned, yes, that reality TV is not reality. And, but I also learned that audition processes isn't real either, and that it doesn't have bearing on the outcome of what the audition is. It doesn't have bearing on who you are. It doesn't have bearing on your talent. A lot of times it comes down to so many things that are out of your control. And it's interesting because I found those DVDs and I started rewatching the episodes. I realized I was so afraid to really be myself. And the girls got to see me in a whole other light than what I feel like was shown on the show. And I just was trying so hard to fit into a box that I thought I needed to fit into. And if there's one thing I could tell myself, is that just lean into who you are and don't be afraid of that. And that, you know, we're all unique snowflakes and we all have a place in this world. And it's good to be you. And that's kind of what my takeaway was. So.
What was the 10-year reunion concert like for you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, that was really nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
I had this crazy pressure because, and I think Rhiannon can relate, but from being in LA, well, actually Rhiannon stayed in New York, but I'm the only, or me and Cassie were the only two. Oh no, Cassie's been on Broadway, forget that. So me, so it's all about me. It's just me. But basically, I didn't do the New York thing. I stayed in LA, and it brought up a lot of stuff about how I felt like, you know, did I give up? Did I make the wrong choice? But worrying that I wouldn't be able to like come to New York and do the 54 Below show and be like up to snuff with the other girls who all stuck it out. But then I realized that no, it's like we all do what we do, and it was so much fun, and I think it was really cathartic, and it gave me a lot of closure with the show and the process, and I would totally do it again anytime anyone ever asked. So
you had said to me after this experience healed me, and that's something like that has stayed with me. And you know, if you guys all felt that way after like we did this thing right then.
Yes, I think it was really healing because, you know, you 10 years passed and we're all kind of left to sort of think our own thoughts and draw our own conclusions about this process. And I think no matter what, like, you know, to call it traumatic is a little dramatic, I would say, but but it definitely, I think it really impacted all of us in a really deep way, especially, you know, psychologically and emotionally. And I think that things like this and to hear the people out there who love it so much, it's just, it makes it also worth it, and it is really healing, and it really shows you that, you know, the mind is a powerful thing, and that a lot of the stuff we've told ourselves over the years isn't real, and that there's people out there that are enjoying this and it's making them happy, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cassie O.
Oh, me. It was really like, first to talk about the reunion, it was really nice to see everybody because there have been times that you've seen people like throughout life, or you work with somebody that worked with somebody else. And it was really nice just to kind of be in the room with everybody and everyone kind of feeling the same about everything and being able to show their artistry, which is always really lovely to see. When I just love sitting watching people sing beautiful songs. But the show for me, I mean, I got out very early, but just looking back, if anything would have changed differently, I wouldn't be where I am now. I love my career so far. I got to meet my husband this way. I love my life where I am. So like, if anything changed, I don't know if I would be where I am. And so that's a really interesting thing. But I also know at any point, wherever I am, I could like call any of you ladies and you'd be like, yes, here's my number. Like, here's my door, please come in. And so that's a really lovely thing to be a part of.
Yep.
Yay, Lindsay.
Just kind of like what Cassie said, I was out pretty early, but I think probably the biggest takeaway for me was that you need to stay true to yourself and really just follow your heart the whole time. And I know that sounds so cliche, but I feel like all of us kind of did that on the show. And I kind of wish we could go back and like re-edit it and see some of the stuff that didn't end up in the show and kind of make it more about empowerment. Because I think a lot of us, the way we supported each other, it would just be really cool to make it a show about how we all really wanted the same thing. But we all supported each other and we all became really close friends. Yeah. And that was probably the hardest part for me. I was like sad, obviously, to not be in the running anymore. But I think it was harder to know that I wouldn't be seeing these girls every day again. And that was the hardest part. So I think just don't care what people say about you. Do you, basically. So.
Yes, I love that. Amazing.
From the biggest thing that I took away from the reality show, I think, you know, a lot of us went in with like the dreams of like, oh my gosh, this was meant for me. Like, how could this go wrong? Like, this is amazing. And like, you know, through it, then you go through all these things that are so scary, and genuinely, like, you kind of feel alone in the whole process. And that was the hardest part, was that like, even though I was like making all of these friendships and stuff, then there was always that underlying thing that when they were doing the interviews, they'd just keep feeding you. Like, they'd say like, but because I'd say, oh, well, she's my friend, so she wouldn't do that. And they're like, well, do you know she wouldn't do that? And so you kind of like, you're like, oh, but I mean, I thought we were friends. So like trying to like really learn to like trust your gut and be like, no, like this is what's happening and we are all friends. And then coming out at the end, and I remember in the finale, like Lauren and Autumn were upstairs doing stuff, but all the rest of us were downstairs backstage. And it was just like, we were so excited to see each other again. We have so many pictures of all of us like cuddled together, literally
lying on
like,
top of each other.
Lying on top of each other, just being like, I love you so much. And realizing like you were part of an experience that literally only the 10 of us know like what this experience was. And to be a part of something like that, and like have the feeling of friendship like that just like really binds you together, and knowing that like you have the support from these 10 girls, and that like no matter what, they are rooting for you. And like we all knew what each other was capable of, and we all got kicked off for certain reasons. And I know that a lot of those have played with our heads for ever now, like for 10 years, 12 years now, that like just keep replaying in your head. But I know that without a doubt, like we are rooting for each other, and that you just have to build this support system and just trust that, and like know that like you can do anything. You just have to be yourself, stay true, listen to your gut. If you feel like they are your friend, telling you what, they're your friend, they're going to support you and love you. And none of that makes sense. I'm just in love with all these ladies. That's what I'm none of what I just said makes sense. I'm just in love with
It made sense.
And who they have become, and know that like it was a crazy experience, but I am so grateful to have been a part of it.
And how was the reunion concert for you?
The reunion concert was so fun, and it was just like, I was so nervous. Like we were flying to New York, and I was like, oh my God, like I had been in LA. I'm a mom. I have 2 kids now. And at the time I was pregnant when we did the reunion concert. And so I was like, I'm a mom. Like, I don't know if I can go and perform. I don't know. Like, I haven't sung in like 5 years. I don't know. And I got there and every person was like, oh my God, you're going to do amazing. Like, you've got this, girl. And we'd be like, yeah, we got this. And then it was just like so much fun. And that was the moment I realized, like, it doesn't matter what these comments are. Like, you look back and like all the mean things that people said, like those things don't matter. And like, what matters is that like we went on that stage, everyone's saying what they are good at, and everyone is so good. And it's so wonderful to see everyone do the thing that they are the best at and like really see why we were chosen in the first place, and not necessarily we're trying to be like something or someone, but like really what we actually do and why we do what we do and why we love it so much. So I don't know.
I love
it. It was awesome. It was great. I loved it.
Amazing. Lauren, how about you?
Okay, what are the questions again?
Yourself, what did you learn the most, and then how was the concert?
I was 18 years old when the show happened, so I had so much to learn. I mean, an endless amount of things to learn. I didn't know anything about who I was or about the business or how to interact with other adults or how to believe in myself. I mean, like that just sparked like an endless amount of growth that was to happen for me over the next many 12, 20 years. Yeah, I mean, it was just the beginning of so much. Looking back on it, it's just kind of mind-blowing how much the women support each other and that they couldn't get anything out of us. And that's really like a magical, special thing to look back on and know that that experience could have been so much worse and so much harder. I don't know that this is something I've learned, but it is something that I would just like to like bring to light is like, I know that we want to say like, oh, don't care about what people say on the internet, but I do think it's good to just acknowledge cyberbullying. And for me at 18 years old, that was a massive, massive blow to my confidence and my life and like moving forward and my body image and so many things. And I would just like to let everyone who's watching know that the impact of your words that feel very anonymous can be devastating to innocent people who are just trying to, find their dreams and figure that out. I think that's one of the things that was like the biggest learning experience was like trying to learn how to take feedback on the internet or feedback in an audition and not let it destroy me. And I'm still working on it.
I think we all are, girl.
Yeah.
How was the concert for you and coming back with that whole thing?
Terrifying. I don't know why. Like I do have some PTSD. I remember when like the Telsey office was still in that old Telsey office.
Oh my gosh, I could
where
not
we
believe
filmed.
it.
Every time I would go back there, I would have the worst anxiety, and I couldn't audition anywhere else. But when I went into that building, I would freak out. So I think there was some like residual PTSD approaching it. But then sitting on that table with like all the women who were able to be there, and it was so fun and giddy and playful. And like Rhiannon said, everyone was doing their thing. And that was kind of emotional to see people do what they really are passionate about and what they really excel at. And to see these people, these women that you have supported and who have supported you really do them. And to just be so proud. I remember seeing Rhiannon up there singing Somewhere That's Green, right? With a big pregnant belly. And I just like, my mind was just blown like by the human that you've become and the fact that you have kids and that you're still standing up there and like sparkling, glowing. And like all of us were weeping at the end of your song. It was just like,
Aw, girl, I love you. Thank you.
Yeah, really special.
I love that. Thank you for saying that also about the social media comments. I feel like Autumn was saying earlier, like it's getting better, but it's still so crazy. And
it was like new at that time. Like Facebook had just started.
It
and, like,
was.
so I think
Social media was new. Yeah.
People felt way more empowered to just do whatever they wanted and say, kill yourself. And like, that was like free for all at the time. Yeah.
And just remember, like, if you are online writing comments, like, just remember, we are real people that are getting these things. And like, would you A, say that to my face, and B, like, just know that like I have comments and messages that people sent me from 2008 that still stick with me to a point where like sometimes I'm like, okay, I need to go for a run. I need to take a jog because this thing just triggered something that I read in 12 years ago, you know, and that like it does hurt. Yes, it's just writing on a screen. Yes, you should just blow it off. But like you're actually hurting someone else with your fingers typing something on a screen. Like
I think people imagine imagine the actual person behind that computer. They're
Right.
fucking Joe Schmo who's never made shit in their lives, you know, and no, it's true though. Like, think about it. Like the critic is someone who cannot do. So like the person that's commenting behind that computer at home, you know, by themselves, like, you know, lonely, that you have to imagine the actual person behind the comment. That always used to help me. Sorry, it's not my turn.
Yeah. Well, now it is your turn, actually.
Yeah, Emma, let's go to you.
Yeah. What did I learn from the show? Okay, so I didn't do the reunion concert, and I'll touch on that in a second. But the show was totally traumatizing. But I had a great time. I mean, I met all these amazing women. As everyone's been saying, the camaraderie was amazing. Like we really actually genuinely cared about each other. That wasn't made up. That was completely real. They actually could not get us talking poorly about each other. They had to edit it in. So what did I learn about myself? I learned, I'm not as confident as I thought I was going in, because I had going into the show, I had experience. I grew up in the city. I had already been on Broadway. Like I thought I was, you know, hot shit. And I then got into this whole thing and they really started tearing us down. And I remember thinking, I remember being scared and thinking that, wow, I really am not as good as I thought I was. And so I remember leaving the show, questioning why I was in the business, questioning all of that stuff. And it luckily didn't end up hindering the rest of my career, but it did for a while. I remember contacting, I think maybe Natalie when I got out, being like, I need therapy. Like, this is not normal. I am depressed. I am upset. And, you know, it was intense, because when even though it was a short amount of time, when you're put into a situation like that, where the only people you're allowed to talk to and really bond with are just 10 people, and you're not allowed to contact anyone else, and you're put through really stressful situations, it's really jarring to then re-enter the real world. I remember we would refer to, like, you know, the hotel, that situation, the show, and then post show was like, what was that world like? So I think ultimately I walked away realizing, wow, I'm not as confident as I thought I was. And then in terms of the reunion show, I didn't do that simply because I've spent the past 8.5 years shredding my vocal cords, yelling at people, teaching at Soul Cycle. And I don't have the voice that I used to have. And you know, what's interesting is, like, now from this quarantine, I haven't been able to teach in a month, and I've tried singing, and I'm like, oh, my voice is coming back. But I think ultimately, you know, I gave up my voice in a way to do something that ultimately has been the greatest thing of my entire life. Like, I feel like it's my child. Like, I don't know. It's truly the greatest thing ever. And leaving the business was truly the best thing I've ever done. I just, you know what, honestly, I ran out of emotional stamina. And I think that's really what it takes to stay in the business, is emotional stamina. And it's okay to acknowledge that you run out of it. You know, it's not about talent. It's not about drive or work ethic. It's about, can you handle being told no one more fucking time? And the answer was no. I am done. I want to be, and now what's the most amazing thing is I get to teach to 73 people in a studio room. Not anymore. I mean, well, you know, hopefully we'll get back there. We'll get back there. But before all of this, I mean, think about it. An off-Broadway house is 99 people. So, like, I have my own one-woman show 13 times a week.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's the greatest thing. And I never hear no, and I never hear that wasn't. All it is positivity. So it's like it's been a beautiful transition for me. And that's all I have to say.
I love that.
Yes,
I think that's
so
that was beautifully said.
I'll end with one last thing. There is nothing more beautiful than leaving the business and being able to say what you want about the powers that be, so to speak.
Yes.
Give yourself the freedom one day to just not give a shit. And yes, I've had a couple of sips. All right. I know my friends have been texting me like, stop drinking. And I'm like, relax. Okay. Relax. This is YouTube. But like, no, it's truly, I remember like filming the show and being like, I know you, Bernie Telsey. I've known you since I was 8 years old. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, and now I can say that because I'm never going to go into his office again. Like, bye-bye. Cheers. Like, okay. I'm done. Yay. Thank you.
Yes.
Love you, Emma.
Emma, that was very beautifully said. And I think that's honestly going to resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Thank you. Cassie S.
Oh boy. Well, thank you so much for having us. This is a treat. It's kind of like this show has continued to circle around, and it's like a merry-go-round, and it's like each time that there's an event or a concert or a reunion or something, it's like, I'm gonna get on, and I'm like, I'm not. And I'm like, I'm gonna. And so I can't even express my gratitude to all of you and Tim and Jen for just giving us another go at it, because it feels really empowering to finally be able to get on one of these things. And it actually feels really safe to see everybody who, by the way, do you guys age like ever? Everyone looks
Truly.
I was thinking the same thing.
Botox, a little filler, a little under eye. Sorry.
I was just asking Natalie about Botox because I really want to get Botox, and I was like, girl,
do it.
You have to come with me to do the Botox because she's the best. But you know, sorry, my guy just died. Oh no, we're okay. We have two. I don't know. I agree with what everybody has said so far. I really agree with Natalie that it feels a bit cathartic. And like Natalie's been my right-hand man for like the last however many years this has been, and I'm so grateful. I told her that she single-handedly convinced me to come and finally like do this thing. I love you so much, girl. Thank you so much. And thank you all. Like, seriously, it's so good to see everybody. Okay, so things that I learned, that this is, the show is something that happened. It's not who I am. I'd really be interested to see the show now with so much female empowerment and positivity and light and just girl power in general, because I think that it would have been a totally different conversation than the one that we had back in the day. I just don't think that maybe 97% of what happened would fly at all. Or we'd get paid like so much money for it.
After minimum, baby. After minimum. Sorry.
Yep.
Yes.
That's right. We did get paid after minimum.
We did.
At the time, I learned so much. I mean, I was trapped in rooms with like Autumn and Lena, who taught me like how to like keep it together and be professional. Like, I was not a theater girl. I knew nothing about what was happening. I grew up loving musicals. I was a dancer. I had no clue what I was getting myself into. And so things that I learned, like, to be honest, I think that mostly I have lived with so much embarrassment around doing this show because, but it really helped me to own that I really championed each and every one of like, I loved the show. I loved the people on it. And it really didn't matter that it was like a trauma bond between like 10 of us, you know, like I jumped in with these people, you know, like, and only we're the ones that really know what went down, or like, and that's all good and fine. But The cyberbullying, I agree. And like Lauren, my heart goes out to you. I feel it. Like the cyberbullying and the physical bullying, like that was what I think it really put me into a place of hiding having this show air, because each week I learned more and more that I was becoming somewhat of like the villain or whatever it was and it burned because I was young too. I think I was just over 18. So I think I was like 19 at the time. And I remember running around a track at a college because I didn't know how to like feel my feelings back then. I had no clue, and it hit my self-esteem and so yeah, I remember being in an H&M in a mall and people cornered me by like the baby section, and they were like, "How could you be so mean to Bailey?" And I was like, "I don't know what you mean." And then like I walked in the mall another time.
And you're never mean.
I mean, I love you, girl. But people, boy, people were relentless back then. It was a different time. And like, I remember being in a mall and I was on the bottom, floor, and then above somebody threw soda on my head, and they called me names because they thought that I was like a mean person on the show. And I remember just being so confused and not really knowing like what to do about it. And so like, thanks to, like all of you throughout these years, like just talking it through and bringing it to light. And whenever somebody's like Legally Blonde, I'm like, do you have an hour? But it's weird because what do you say? It's like, this is the show that helped me to understand what I really learned was that I wanted to do musical theater, and I had no clue what I was doing. And so when I left, I remember going into my agent at the time and saying, "How do I do this? I want to do this." And she said, "You have to do this thing called singing." And I said, "I have to what?" How to sing. I mean, guys, that's how green I was at the time. I had no idea what I was doing. And so I got to get musical theater from doing this show. That's what it taught me. And yeah, like, if nothing else, that's kind of a big deal, because that was really my true passion. I had no idea that all three things, singing, dancing, and acting, could be like married and one. And so yeah, I think really it's just helped me to own the fact over the years that like we all really did champion each other and love each other. And I just think the absolute world of each and every one of these girls, and I don't give a hoot who has something to say about it, because it is what it is. I'm gonna love them whether you like it or not.
Yes.
I'm off my pedestal now, but thank you guys so much for putting this together. And also, it's just been amazing throughout the years just to stay connected. I've worked with some of you, I've had coffee with some of you, I haven't really seen some of you, and like, wow, oh my God, you guys. Cool.
Cassie S., it's such a testament to your character that experience made you want to do this more.
I know.
It's like,
yes.
It really, like, and watching the show, like, I cannot imagine being a producer, being an editor, and being like, let me do this to this 19-year-old girl and make her come off in a way that was not her intention. High cheekbones.
It's because you have the darkest hair, so you just.
It is. That was it.
Dark hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I saw each and every one of the girls do like their own thing. Like you, I was looking at like Emma and Lena, like they had been on Broadway, and like that was a big deal, and like Rhiannon had just come from like theater school at the time, and like Bailey was like she knew everything about theater. And like I remember, Lauren, you had just started at Michigan, I think, but I remember you writing, like they gave us a script and you knew like exactly what to do with the script, and I was like, wait, what? Like, how do people know what to do with this? And like Rhiannon knew all the songs, and I was like, wait, people knew the songs to this show? Like, I had no idea the show even existed before, like I was like blue. I was so green. And so, yeah, when I left, I was like, there's something to this, because I love Legally Blonde, the movie. And so, I don't know. Yeah, I was like, I gotta learn more about this, because these chicks know what's up, and I want to be like them.
Oh,
that's
so well, you're phenomenal, and I hope anyone watching this live stream is seeing that. And also, if you watch that first episode back, girl, you are dancing.
Yes.
Like, work.
Now, how many Broadway shows, Cassie? You were in Rock of Ages, you were in Matilda.
Yeah.
Work.
Those are my two so
Work,
far.
yeah.
Hopefully another soon.
Yes. Amazing. All right, we do have to wrap up soon, but well, let's get Bailey and Autumn. Bailey, we'll start with you.
Bailey. And people want to know what it was like to be on Broadway as well while we're on here.
Oh, well, I mean, I feel like these ladies could all say the same thing. I have to say, I know that's a question that wants to be asked, but I feel like every girl here could probably answer that. But what I want to say is, for years, I have held like guilt for winning, because I love all of you ladies so much that I was so scared that it would hurt my relationship with everyone. So like, I was really nervous to come and do this, because I mean, some of you I keep in touch with, but some of you like I haven't seen or talked to in forever. Just, the casual, keeping up with on Facebook, but I have like stuck to like kind of, I mean, I guess you could say stalking a little bit, but just keeping up with you and seeing what all you're doing. And every time one of you like have a great success, I feel so elated for you guys, because, I feel like Legally Blonde, and winning, and that was my thing. I tell people like I could have died the day after my Broadway debut and I would have died a happy woman, and I would have achieved everything that I had wanted in the 20 years of my life and at the time. And I still, I feel that way even now. I'm married and I have an amazing daughter. And so, I could die a happy woman now. But I am even happier seeing everybody's successes. People finally make their Broadway debuts, and people booking shows left and right, and TV, and winning Tonys. I'm so proud. And I hope that, I hope you all realize that not winning was probably the best thing for every single person. And I have kind of had to come to grips with that, because like I have held a huge guilt for winning, because I felt so bad, because I felt like I was purposefully hurting you by winning, because I loved you all so much. I don't know. It put a little bit of like a shadow over like winning, because I felt bad. But I just want I want you all to know that I love you so much. And some of my fondest memories of laughing until my stomach hurts and crying are when we filmed that show. Like 110%, some of the best, funniest moments of life that I will treasure forever. But I guess I just had to learn with that show and filming that. And I don't think I learned anything right after. I think it took so many years after to really realize what it was that I learned through that. But I learned that I thought I was confident, but I wasn't, because I was thrown into that, and I thought I was ready, and oh my gosh, I wasn't. I feel like if I could do it all over again, I probably would have done better, and maybe, I don't know, done things a little better. Just because like I'm wiser, you're older, you learn, but I guess that's the uniqueness of the situation. I'm glad that it happened when I was young, because I got to make my dreams come true and do all of that at a young age, so that I get to have what I have today. And I wouldn't trade anything in the world for that, because I never thought I would get married, and I definitely never thought I would have kids. So I'm so thankful to be able in my lifetime to be able to say I've accomplished my dreams, and I don't think many people can say that. So, starring on Broadway was truly remarkable. It was unlike anything else. And I can go back and watch, bootleg videos of my, me on Broadway, because that was, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. Oh, it really was. I loved it. But yeah.
Thank you, Bailey. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for doing this.
What's your last but not least Autumn?
I have to go last. Oh. I mean, I'll try to keep it.
Zoom. You win the Zoom.
I don't have to say anything. You all said it for me. Bitches. I mean that with affection. I echo everything everyone has said, and I think okay, so it was the reunion concert, how I felt about the show. Those are the questions.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, what you tell your young self.
Okay, let's just focus on what I would tell my young self. I think coming out of this show, before the reality show, I had never dealt with imposter syndrome. I'd always thought like, I just do what I do and this is so much fun and I just love theater and I get to do a job, or, oh, I got to hustle in my survival jobs and life is awesome and fun and this is a great experience to be had. And I think what happened for me with the reality show is that it kind of broke the seal. It showed me what the business actually was and what you actually work for and what, you know, all the mechanics of it. And I don't know, maybe I wasn't ready for it, or I definitely didn't have the confidence, and that's what killed me in the end. I didn't have the confidence. And I think what happened after the show is that imposter complex just took over everything in my life, and Broadway became the benchmark. And even though I made my Broadway debut in Legally Blonde, somehow in my mind, I didn't count it as a success because I didn't win. And I was just, you know, it was like a consolation prize. And it wasn't a pleasant experience for me, for both what it was and what I put into it. So I take full responsibility for that. But I think what I've learned since then is that if you're doing it for you, then you're doing it. Okay, theater. If speaking specifically for theater, theater is family, and theater's the purpose of theater, of entertainment, of art is to elicit empathy, to expose an audience to some part of life that they don't get to experience, or that something that they need to hear. It's for the audience. So if you're doing it for you, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And I hear a lot of people say, what do I do to get to Broadway? And I betray myself every time, because I'm like, work hard and be yourself and do this. But what I really want to say is, don't make that your benchmark.
Yeah.
That's like saying, what do I do? How do I get into Harvard? Well, these are all the steps you take, but what you going to do after that?
Yeah.
You just go into Harvard? No, it's what happens afterwards. Yeah. And, you know, in all honesty, I haven't been on Broadway in 10 years. Legally Blonde is my one and only Broadway credit. But it took me a long time to recognize and give myself credit that my career is awesome. I've done amazing things. I've worked with great people. I'm really proud of what I've done with my life. But if you make Broadway the benchmark, if you make that golden egg the benchmark, then it doesn't mean anything. And I wasted a lot of time just not being grateful, or not being I was grateful for everything, but I think not giving myself credit for all of my accomplishments. So I would say to younger me, just like, fucking relax and just enjoy yourself, because what is the point? We only get one life. So just, you know, I don't know. I've had a lot of wine, and you all said what needs to be said. So there's no wisdom left here.
You are the wisdom, the wisest.
You are wise.
That is
you all.
Beautiful, Autumn. Thank you guys. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just say one more thing. I would just say, you know, especially with the current situation that we're in, talking about cyberbullying, talking about self-worth, talking about creativity, theater. Even though we're on the YouTubes right now, I would say to my younger self, avoid the social medias. I know we have to use it for business, but you know, tapping into like real music, art, nature, yourself, you know, knowing yourself is where all the really good stuff comes in. And social media tends to be, you have all this good stuff bubbling up and then you want to share it and then you instantly compare it. Instantly. And if you can avoid that, it's really hard. But if you can avoid that, the rewards are, you know, will come in spades. So
yes.
Thank you so much. I know this came together really, really fast. I saw Tim's tweet and I was like, let's do this. And you guys were all so down. And I know
Let's
Tim.
do it every week.
It was literally like less than a week. I mean,
yes. And thank you, Jen. Thank you for connecting everybody from before. And I just want to say to all of you ladies, thank you so much, not just from me, but from everybody that reached out about this show. I hope you know, like, this show was about you, like Autumn was saying, like, the Broadway is the benchmark. And it was about you young ladies, like, trying to be Elle Woods on Broadway. But the, like, bigger picture of that was to do something with your lives that was important and part of this dream. And even if you were on one episode of this show, you did that. Like, this was, you're a part of somebody's favorite thing.
you're inspiring people
During quarantine, this is my, sorry, go ahead, Jen, what were you saying?
I was going to say, we have college freshmen on this chat that are so inspired by you, and you're inspiring people that are in their 20s, 30s, that are 18, and I just 40, 50, and I just think it's so insanely amazing to have that effect and to know that's what you've left.
And I think the weirdest part for us is that, like, we were all just filming this thing and hanging out together in a room being like, oh, are they going to, like, make billboards of this? Like, what do you think's going to happen? What is this become? But really, it was just an experience between all of us that now people come up and, like, say stuff and you're like, oh my gosh, that did happen. Like, that was a real thing and it did happen. And, like, what a cool experience that, like, happened.
You know, it's like people say that they're like blood brothers and blood sisters. Like, we're like reality TV sisters.
And there was blood in that as well.
Blood. A lot of other fluids that we were not really sure what they were.
Yes. And thank you to Lena for shouting out on Twitter that this should happen. This was literally Lena's idea. I was like, okay,
yes,
let's do it.
That's how you
Look,
should do it.
Amazing.
Yeah, next time everyone's coming to my house, we're gonna do it where we're all together at this house.
Yes. Oh, that's amazing.
So much fun.
I'm gonna end the live stream, and then if you guys want to keep chatting with each other, I'll leave this open for you to keep chatting. I know a lot of you have to go and you have kids and stuff. Thank you guys again so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you guys who tuned in on YouTube. We searched for Elle Woods and we found
all of them.
All of them. Thank you guys.